Bandicoot! I feel like you and I are in immense danger right now.
You want to drive?
This feels worse.
You want me to drive? My feet can't reach the brake pedal.
Let's just let the driving D drive. Also, since when did Waddle Dees drive?
If memory serves, they've only driven cars in one single Kirby game. Kirby Planet Robobot.
That bus in front of us was just violently thrown across the highway and exploded into food and stars.
I'm just now noticing we aren't wearing seatbelts.
Do you hope you turn into food or stars? Food seems like it prolongs the process because your sustenance is just meant to feed the maw of Kirby.
I am extremely pleased to introduce you all to my former favorite Kirby installment, Kirby Planet Robobot. This installment comes after Triple Deluxe, which introduced one important new mechanic to Kirby platformer games: lane travel. Ordinarily, there is one lane on which Kirby can travel. Triple Deluxe added another. These two lanes allow puzzles to get more complicated, more hazards to impact Kirby, and add new dimensions to levels.
And how did that improve in Robobot?
You can do all of that again, but this time, robot suit! Yeah! Look at it! Woo!
Okay, cool. Just like most Kirby games, this one starts with an unknown entity moving in from outer space and attempting to take over Popstar. This maniacal mass of mechanical mastery is owned by the Haltman Works Company. They're moving in to harness the massive amounts of energy from the unadvanced world of Popstar.
After dethroning Dedede, poking a hole in the halberd, and confusing Kirby, we're introduced to new Popstar, a very mechanized, technologically influenced version of the land we all kind of know. Even Green Greens, the Green Hill Zone of Kirby games, has a new look, feel, and mechanized enemies. Everything feels the influence. D's, Do's, Bert's, Scarfies, and more. My original thought for this game was that this unknown at the time entity nabbed Dedede and mechanized his normally useless army to do their bidding, possibly giving him his Mecha Dedede bot from the cancelled Kirby GameCube game as a final boss. Not the case.
Nice thought. Stupid, but nice.
Planet Robobot follows the regular Kirby game progression of games past, in which you take on the game level after level, world after world, every level having its own theming and a few puzzles to solve. Along the way, you'll collect 3 code cubes per level as well as stickers. They're the keychains, gotchas, gears of this installment that fill a cabinet over time. There are regular ones you find every so often, as well as gold ones that are hidden in certain levels, so you only have to balance 2 rarities.
Throughout each level, you even have a smattering of powers Kirby's can inhale as well. It's like a Diet Coke can you just keep jamming Mentos into as the can begs for mercy. There are many returning favorites such as Sword, Ice, Spark, Rock, Cutter, Archer, Ninja, Mirror, Parasol, Spark, Fighter, Bomb and Wheel and Hammer, Jet, Water, Poison, and more, with each having certain puzzles and environments they're used for.
Overall, this game seems like a very generic Kirby game that stays firmly good, just like Triple Deluxe.
You're forgetting something.
What?
Oh, are you pretending not to know?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Just reveal the robot suit.
Yeah!
Yippee.
Look at it!
James gets what he wants again.
In what I would call just enough levels, you can sometimes find this empty Robobot suit which Kirby can pilot. Whether he occupies it while abandoned or kills a guy to get in it, it immediately turns pink and adopts Kirby's unique copying abilities.
Popopo's Robobot turns pink, gets eyes, and inherits powers that emulate Kirby. Of course, it also has a complete moveset all its own that doesn't require abilities to use. Guarding retracts every appendage into its orb body, which is kinda cute. This game will not oversaturate each level with the Robobot's appearance, using it as a means to solve puzzles Kirby usually cannot, making each appearance needed and fun. It still leaves some levels and nearly every boss as situations for Kirby to handle on foot.
While the bot cannot assume every power Kirby has, it does have variations on abilities that Kirby cannot normally use effectively, like Mike. You can shoot Boaz in several directions and unleash a huge doof that splits into several Wheeze if you press down, then up B. Most powers the bot analyzes get enticing new movesets to unleash on the weak little enemies nearby, except Fire. Fire is still boring, and Sword still gets the best version of any moveset.
Almost like it's the best power? I don't know. As you lift cannons, huge metal crates, turn cranks, punch turnstiles, and jet through auto-scrolling levels, your goal never shifts. Kirby must go through each level, collecting enough code cubes to unlock the path to the boss of each world. Those bosses are usually introduced by one of the best designed characters in all of Kirby, Susie, who is the executive assistant to the Haltman Works Company. Each time you run into her, she has a song and dance consisting of an anthem to Haltman, overconfidence in her next big project, which Kirby then defeats, and a realization that the mother computer has once again created a creature that can actually be defeated.
She's so adorable! She should have an Endoroid next. Even though she's one of 2 Haltman employees we see the entire game, you never get tired of seeing her. The character design is excellent, exactly what Kirby is all about.
After stopping Susie and enjoying her many introductions, ascending each world's giant screw mechanism, solving each area's puzzle, collecting code cubes, and destroying each of the work company's drill legs and defeating Mecha Knight one more time, Kirby comes face to face with President Haltman, who we must now sing our own improvised anthem to introduce. O noble Haltman, he is our God, our King, the noble Lord of everything. O noble Haltman. I'm not sure what that was, but I'm sure James will agree we were compelled to do that.
I do. Now that he's here, Haltman introduces us to the real enemy of Kirby, Popstar, and the universe. Stardream. Stardream happens to be the real big bad, having created such things as the 333 DDD clones, the redesign of Meta Knight's shoulders, and the belief that all it does is perfect. After a short predictable fight with Haltman and his solid gold mecha suit, he is defeated.
Then Haltman gathers himself in his big, comfy chair while Kirby watches him, close enough to end the maniacal mechanic monster, but opts to observe as if Haltman is his new best friend.
Should have finished him before because Haltman throws a fit, then caution to the wind as he dons the control helmet to attempt to control Stardream. Fortunately, he is stopped, too late albeit, by Susie! Yes! Only for her to reveal her master plan to don the helmet herself, then sell Stardream to someone else in the universe. Susie, no!
The brief connection to Haltman allowed Stardream to sneak in, delete his operating system, and assume control of him as well as itself. To make matters worse, Stardream breaks free and dashes into space, leaving Kirby and Susie to digest what just happened. She orders in a fresh Robobot suit and orders him to stop Stardream once and for all. Luckily, the Halberd flies in to complete Kirby's transformation into the, I'm not sure what, to stop the evil space program.
Po-po-po, Robobo, go go go! We finally come to the climax of this Kirby game, a final fight between Kirby's Halberd form and Stardream. It's longer than every other boss in the game and feels very reminiscent of the final boss in Kirby 64. And so ends my former favorite Kirby game.
What a solid entry in the Kirby series. A show of quality that continues the formula Kirby games up to then have held since their creation. It's an adventure game featuring a pink god-type character acting an infant who can copy abilities of enemies he swallows across several mechanically influenced levels.
With a robot suit!
Collectibles are fairly easy to find, worlds are fine to repeat if needed, and not overly annoying, and the array of powers is both familiar and fun.
With a robot suit!
Similar to other Kirby games, this one comes with a handful of extra modes beyond the obvious inclusions of the Arena and True Arena modes. We have Kirby 3D Rumble, the first appearance of the Kirby Clash games in Team Kirby Clash, and Meta Nightmare returns.
Without a robot suit.
3D Rumble is a score climbing game in which you must inhale enemies and blocks to defeat as many enemies in the fewest spits as possible. You get more points for more enemies defeated in combos. Team Kirby Clash is Kirby Clash. You and up to 3 friends can band together to defeat a few big boss enemies to level up your heroes. 3D Rumble was also made into its own separate eShop game, Kirby's Blowout Blast. Team Kirby Clash was also made into a separate eShop release that also got a physical cartridge.
Meta Nightmare Returns is the Robobot main game but truncated and with Meta Knight equipped with new abilities. He also fights stronger versions of certain bosses. This mode is more for speedrunning and exercising just how cool and powerful Meta Knight is.
He's not that cool. He's pretty cool.
After you've collected every sticker and code cube, finished both sets of the mainline game, spit several stars, clashed Kirby's teamly, and truly arena'd, you'll have finished Robobot. If you couldn't tell already, this game is one of my favorites specifically because of the robot suit. I happen to be a fan of metal-suited characters, Iron Man being one of them. Okay, many of them. So it always excites me to see a character, even one that would never have need of one, put one on and use stronger versions of the regular attacks, but now, with a robot suit! I love it. And Kirby took full advantage. I'm sure it could have gone further, perhaps letting him take on a boss with the suit on, but that's just me. Not requiring it in every level was a smart move as it would have felt oversaturated, but taking on one boss, one, would have been great, even if it was Haltman himself.
So you're saying this entire video, this whole review where you up-talk this game, is nearly entirely hinged on the fact Kirby pilots a mech suit? That's why you love and recommend it so much?
Was that not clear? Yes, exactly that. It's fun, it follows the familiar Kirby formula, and Ice, the best power, makes a return. It's great. Highly recommended.
Oh, is it recording?
Yes.
Oh dear. Here we go.
James, you're on fire.
Everything's hard, Andy.
Well, you are in a house. Those are fairly sturdy for protection of me and Okra.
No, I mean everything. I tried to get out of bed, but I was glued to it. I attempted to pet the cat, and I crapped my pants. I tried to play Yeast's memoir, The Oath in Felghana, and was thrown up and down a cave, into a pit of spikes, and drowned in lava.
Oh. So we're reviewing
Yst's memoir, The Oath in Felghana, a game with a title where no one knows exactly where the colon should be located.
He has typed the title in the script several times and has no consistent location of the colon, and it is driving me up a wall!
Which is a great way to introduce the game. This remake of The Oath in Felghana, apparently Ys 3, which is the 4th or 9th game in the series, finally comes to the Switch and introduces current-gen Ys fans to what things were like before. No more fancy mana attacks, no party system, no camp of characters to rescue and do side quests for, just Adol and a small cast of characters already in the throes of some conflict Adol is then enlisted to fix.
After several adventures and a bout of homesickness, Dogi the Wall Crusher convinces his best friend and travel companion Adol to return to Dogi's homeland, Felghana, to visit his hometown, Redmont. Adol agrees immediately, of course. It's an island after all. Adol has a great track record with those.
Soon, Adol and Doggy come to realize something strange is afoot as this
monument's dedicated to the god of safe journeys.
is destroyed, the quarry is in danger, and the Count of this land has enacted taxes on the island folk that are meant to sow unrest and unease. Not only that, a sibling rivalry between Elena, the town friend, and Chester, a former trustworthy Redmont knight, has caused further issues.
Upon attempting to rescue miners from the quarry, Adol encounters a dark entity that quickly attacks, beginning this game's mysterious story and 2.5D adventure.
Now in HD! You'll notice quickly when trying to win this boss fight, even in normal mode, that it is hard. Really hard. If you don't pick up the boss's patterns, nearly impossible hard. In fact, I don't really think there is a strategy with most bosses in this game. Most of them become a game of endurance and frustration management as they combo attack Adol to near death, offering very little to no time to activate superpower to heal the littlest bit of HP before failing and needing to try again.
For someone used to dodging, perfect guarding, flash moves, and all the other fun ways Ys games have offered players to redirect and get away from enemy attacks, it's odd to have none of that to play with here. Avoiding attacks is a form of luck and timing this time, as your jumps are the only thing that offers you any respite.
Why even have the shield? Is this why later games just don't give him one because he doesn't even bother to use it? It should guard something, specifically when bosses do this shit. I mean, come on, man. This just makes me want to play Ys 8, 9, or 10 again. Hell, even Celceta.
Adol has a 6-hit combo that he can chain with successive A button presses. This extends to 10 when superpower is activated. B makes you jump, and you can use B and A together to chain different versions of jump attacks. Pressing A on a jump descent will use a down attack that may stun some enemies too. There are also 3 types of magic to switch between with their own uses and advantages, Earth being the only one that offers a guard of sorts. Using it at the perfect moment will mitigate any damage from any attack against Adol when it is used.
X will activate Power, which speeds Adol up and offers him increased strength, and Superpower, which will cause a small shockwave and heal Adol a bit over time. It recharges as you play the game. One of the most interesting controls in this game is the extra function button, which is assigned to minus on the Switch as default. You can assign one of 3 functions to this button. No Fall, which will prevent Adol from taking tumbles off cliffs, Wing Warp, which will allow you to teleport to any save point statue you've found in the game, and Walk, which will make Adol walk. I'm not really sure that last one is useful ever.
Also fun to use, easy to ignore, is to activate Turbo Mode by clicking in the right stick. Go Turbo-Turbo-er by clicking in the right stick again. Pressing in the stick a 3rd time will return the game to normal speed.
Defeating enemies in this game will offer several things. First, obviously money and XP, but sometimes healing items and Ravel ore as well. Both money and Ravel are needed to forge stronger weapons, armor, and a better, albeit useless, shield. Also,
meters. Do you like meters? Memoir Oath in Felghana has one for each toe! First, your red strength meter. This will increase Adol's attack power, and you fill and add to it by collecting red stuff enemies drop. Second, your defense meter, which is blue. Refill and power that up with blue things. Next is your MP speed meter, which does something. Probably increases your MP recharge speed. Collect yellow things to refill this meter. Finally, your XP rate increase meter. Long name? Why not? Fill and refresh this one by hitting and defeating enemies. It won't charge past 99, so you can't have a ×2 multiplier, which I'm sure infuriates some people, but definitely not me. Nope. In addition, you have your HP meter, your power meter, your XP meter, your MP meter. You got all the meters here at Meters.
I don't think you said meter enough times.
I'll perish unperturbed if that particular idiom is never uttered in my direction ever again.
Most enemies won't offer too much challenge as long as you grind a bit and stay up to date with the 2 upgrades you can get for each armor and weapon piece. I'm actually kind of amazed at the increase in stats each level up yields. You'll never be strong enough to take down any boss in this game in your first attempt though. They'll combo you, they'll stagger you, they will kill you.
Yeah, without the flash moves and flash guards, boss attacks have to be tanked or narrowly avoided, meaning you're definitely taking a lot of damage. With your only healing options being hidden behind the superpower meter, which recharges slowly, and your revive option hidden behind an 80,000 coined accessory that breaks after one use, safe to say this game was built to be hard.
I can't overstate this enough. This game is fucking hard. I thought the demo at PAX West was priming me, getting me used to the olden style of Ys games past. I figured I wasn't used to that style and that's why it was hard. No, this game is just that fucking hard. All the time. Bosses are more than sponges, they're living pieces of environment that are usually larger than life, built with combos and stronger attacks that will claim a third of your life bar every single time. Levels and armor mean very little to these things. I'm here, 5 levels above every enemy thus far, and my armor is upgraded. I will defeat you! I'm here again, another 3 levels and 7 hours later because leveling up in this game is a lengthy process, and I brought the single revive accessory. Am I wasting a revive doing this?
Yep.
That is an accurate depiction of exactly what happened in each boss battle James took on. I was lucky enough to be in the peanut gallery, so I wouldn't get killed too. Dang it.
To me, this game feels like the developmental handshake between bump/slash games before they became hack-and-slash games. With attacks you can activate at will, things you equip and acquire that become switchable as you find them, and enemy attacks that bump the player, don't activate invincibility frames, and can combo you to death. The adventure with semi-3D environments leaps off the screen even though the characters are or feel like 2D sprites on this 2.5D plane. That's the sensation I get when playing this game. In fact, I've never experienced a game like this before. It's odd having nothing to base this adventure on, even though there are other Ys games. I've never played another like this. Ys Origin is definitely next on my list to play because I crave more of this type of gameplay. I've had a taste, now fill me, Ys. Fill me with this.
Alright, but is it fun?
I think if you're like me, and you accidentally find yourself in a harder dungeon than where you're meant to go, level up very fast, then go where you're supposed to go and defeat everything very easily, except the boss, then you have fun. But progression in this game is an infinitely climbing vertical line of difficulty that will use each boss to kick you off that mountain. It's demoralizing, it's difficult, it's intensely hard. The difficulty option at the beginning of the game seems decorative really. It's only really a damage multiplier for the game. The lower the difficulty, the less damage everything does. I was playing on normal and still getting fired from the Good at Gaming committee.
I'm not sure we were ever invited to the GAGC. We just keep showing up to the meetings and eating their donuts. They never throw us out. I'm not sure this will change their minds.
In addition to the difficulty this game presents, there's no real way to guide yourself to main quests, side quests, and no mini-maps. Nothing. Feels like the remakes report could have probably added that instead of something rather useless like Turbo Mode, which lets you lose to bosses faster. But hey, I did finish this game. By the skin of my teeth, but I still won.
I was there for that boss fight. Galbalan was taking James for a ride.
It was not fun. I did not like that fight. Ys, the Oath and Felghana was my very first exposure to anything under the vast umbrella of Nihon Falcom universes and games. I randomly found the Valestein Castle theme on YouTube when searching for video game music and was instantly enthralled. From there, Strongest Foe set my heart ablaze. Not even 2 months later, Nintendo announced Ys 8 would be coming to the Switch, which ended up being one of my favorite games in life. It was so invigorating finally playing the game that started my love of Ys games, connecting the music to the places I was traveling and seeing where it all came from. This game is difficult beyond my expectations, offers much less than other Switch installments, and is not a game I recommend over 8, 9, and 10, but it will forever hold a special place in my heart.
Want to hear what it sounds like when I scream?
I'll get it. A request someone placed through our Twitch stream to play a game called Everhood 2.
What in Nehru's nightgown just happened?
To put it simply, I let Everhood 2 into my life. More specifically, Everhood 2 entered my home, defecated upon my walls and furniture, set my brother ablaze, and pet my cat the wrong way. I would let anything do abhorrent things to my life and home if it had music this good.
Who are you talking to? Our home is ruined!
Today, viewers, I want to take you through a review of one of the most difficult games I've ever played, Everhood 2. In Everhood 2, you take on the role of, I'll call them Tacklebackle, to navigate your way through worlds made of wild characters, wacky events, and even crazier boss battles. 1 minute, you're battling a stampede of fruits. Another, you're fighting a house. The next minute, you're unleashing a high-pitched scream that renders a darkened spirit incapacitated.
I didn't follow any of what you said. I didn't follow any of what was shown. You basically vomited at my feet and said, "It's my magnum opus."
Before I get into this, I have to highly commend the battle system. From the outside, this looks nuts, straight up nonsense. But I promise you, it's also white-knuckle difficult. It also requires only 4 buttons to play, really. It takes place in a 3D space where you sit on the staff, awaiting colorful notes to come at you from the center of the screen.
My rhythm game alarm is going off right now. Don't we avoid these?
Just like roguelikes, arguments, and UTIs, we just can't not let them into our lives, Andy. If they present an entertaining enough front, we have to let them in.
What part of a UTI is fun?
This is a rhythm game, which means you need that part of your brain that Andy and I lack, where it allows you to understand why notes are placed where. I never developed it, but I don't entirely feel you need it here either. Nearly every song in this game is a triumph of instruments and converting emotion into song. Even when you're charging a brown mage's toilet slot machine.
What?
I played this with an Xbox controller, so that's the rubric I'm using for button inputs. Left and right move you along the 5 lanes of the staff. Right trigger will allow you to absorb incoming colorful notes and charge an attack. Left trigger will release a charged attack, provided you have charged it enough. A will allow you to jump over notes, and pressing a direction and A will allow you to do a flippity-dippity jump.
Okay, I'm putting some of this together. It looks like if you collect enough of the same color notes, this bar fills. It fills 3 or 4 times, I can't tell. Your first attack can only be fired off after filling enough of this first bar. After a certain point, the bar ceases to matter, and the number of notes collected seems to be the only important thing to pay attention to in this wad of things to pay attention to.
There is a lot to a battle system this complicated, and there are certain bosses that pull incredibly dirty tricks to distract you and mess up your combos. The Mind Dragon comes to mind when it does this shit. Also, anytime a character has text on screen to read while you're trying to fight. I can't read that and dodge things and build my combo game. Let me breathe, maybe!
I see you have some different weapons throughout this footage as well. Oh, you can strengthen your weapons with power gems. There are symbols next to each weapon that look to denote strengths and weaknesses, but I'm sure with a large combo, enough gems, and just a tiny bit of prayer, weaknesses can be overcome easily.
This is specifically evident when switching the difficulty mode in Everhood 2. You have 4 difficulties: story, easy, medium, and hard. I played a grand portion of the game in medium until one boss continually served me my rhythmically challenged ass back to me several more times than my patience was prepared to allow. So far as I can tell, the difficulty mode is a damage multiplier for enemies and bosses. The lower the difficulty, the less damage they do. The amount of experience I got didn't change, items were still prevalent, and the amount of colorful notes stayed the same, but I was able to beat the boss eventually, which was a nice confidence boost.
I have a feeling completing any battle in this game is a triumph in and of itself.
Kind of true. There are curveballs it throws at you sometimes as well, such as removing your in-battle revives, or healing after each battle end, or multi-wave battles. There are some instances where these awful inclusions start to become standard battle practice. I was about to walk away when the zombies were introduced. It's a timed fight where if you don't beat the thing in time, you die. No death defiance, just boop, dead. I was close, but some battles aren't required, so I just navigated away from them and ran into my next hate, the Harpy.
Does each enemy have its own boss theme, and in doing so have its own note placement as well?
Yes. You learn to look forward to refighting some enemies because you study their notes, and their boss theme is a goddamn bop. You can even refight bosses in the Coliseum if you miss their themes too much, or just buy the whole soundtrack because holy crap, it's great!
Okay, James, we're hitting the end of our 3rd page here. You've dissected the battle system. How's the story?
The what?
The story, the plot. Rising action, climax, reason to roll credits.
Beef Wellington?
Don't make a reference, just tell me about the story.
I'm going to do my best here. You are a soul, or a being of light, and you are, as in you exist. You're aimless until this raven named Raven gives you direction, teaches you about the battle system, and introduces you to the portals to all these strange new worlds. There's a vegetable kingdom with a moldy tomato as a king. There's a hotel with a biscuit butler, talking save points that warn you about incoming strong fights. Anyway, you go through these trials to make yourself stronger so you can face the Mind Dragon, which will allow you to obtain your soul weapon. Once you have that, you team up with a rat you rescued, a cat you found, Raven, a frog, a save point, a dark spirit creature, a sexy slime lady, a crazy slime lady, and reality to defeat or become or prove to God that existence is or isn't worth fighting or not fighting for through a series of spaceship fights and non-linear multi-layered boss battles. All to realize that was the tutorial so you can do some of it again in a sped-up fashion to take on an actual evil god to prove something with a metal Buddha statue.
My confusion meter is here, James? You have to say things that move it to a down here position.
Everhood 2 won't allow it. All things must be confusion all the time. This happens. that happens. Something just happens. You eventually just have to forget there's a story whatsoever so you can hear the next track in the game and fight the next thing. The plot becomes a vehicle made entirely of wishes and whispers that you pray brings you to the next part of the game where you fight something. I don't understand it. It lost me as soon as the Mind Dragon was defeated, and beyond that, all characters, jokes, and plot elements became overshadowed by the next thing in my path. It all lacks staying power to a shocking degree. Considering the atrocities you commit or don't commit, it's hard to imagine anything in this game being forgetful. But if it didn't have a damn nice track to fight it to, then I immediately forgot it. Even the damn nice tracks are easily forgettable for the next one to hit your ears.
I still don't get it.
I'm fairly certain no one understands, but we're here for the music specifically. It's like if Ninja Sex Party and Toby Fox got higher than Senator Socks, played Dance Dance Revolution for several weeks straight and decided to make a game about it. Nearly every song has finger-tapping, head-bobbing power that will stick with you. The story is some subversive explanation of the soul, existence, and life that I'm sure one of you red-stringed and played the first game to prove. Finally, the battle system is simple, familiar, and it can be tailored to several difficulty modes. It's fun, it's fucking hard, and you should play it in a very well-lit room. This game is migraine fuel if you're not careful.
My favorite character in Night Rain is the meandering cello.
Ooh!
Colors! I know what this looks like. I know what you're thinking about doing. I'll ask that you don't do that. I am so close to getting one long chain here.
You are very close. How long did this take you?
Hours.
What's the top?
Not sure. I haven't looked up. I just got entranced.
Shouldn't you look up?
I did it!
I think I put this together. The match 3 colors, the different shades of your little popping gun, the distractingly enticing gameplay experience of Bubbles Go Pop. We're reviewing... Do you love colors?
I am a studied, degreed color theorist with a major in animation and a minor in things that are red. So yes, I would say I have a genuine keenness for the many hues and shades of a crimson influence.
Wow, I was just expecting a yes, but he's right. Little known fact, Andy can read.
I can also be ridiculously annoyed by James. Stop it.
Welcome to the awesome, lively, colorful world of Popucom. In this world-saving adventure, you take on the role of 2 intergalactic heroes as they try and stop a rogue space goo from overtaking a moon and destroying a planet. The Pamu are a dark hive mind creature that transformed into several colors of monsters and bosses, all weak to a match 3 mechanic that will cause them to lose their bits. You need to rescue 100 goldies to build a rocket that will blow the infected moon and the Pamu to smithereens.
This game is 2-player. Specifically, to play Popacom, you must first locate a friend, strap said friend to a chair, staple a controller to stationary friend, and then engage in the majestic, complicated, and endearing gameplay this game offers. Of course, if you desire to play with someone online instead of someone in the same room, you can search for other single players online. We're not sure how reliable the servers or the search is, as James and I were in the same room when we played, but there is a Discord server with channels to help you do just that. There's also split screen for those too cheap to buy your trapped, tied, stapled friend their own copy.
Tying me down won't stop me from annoying you.
Stop it!
After deciding what to wear, what color your eyes are, the shoes you'll take on the day with, and seeing the other outfits you can acquire later in the game, you're ready to be introduced to the main functions of this game. Every enemy, bosses included, will have a certain color. There'll always be one of 4 colors you and your buddy can switch to. You'll have 2 colors as player 1 and can thereby handle certain enemies and obstacles, and your player 2 will have 2 different colors and will handle their own set as well.
Of course, this game would get pretty boring if all you had to do was match 3 at all times while James shoots the wrong color into things. There are also 4 gadgets you'll collect in the tutorial levels that assist you. The first is your Barrier Bot, a backpack that allows you to project a shield in front of you that changes colors with the player. It can also be used as a platform for your second player. It'll block projectiles of the same color and will short out when hit with shots of a different color.
Captain Kitty, a deployable drone that lets you pick up, move, and drop some objects. When you pull it out, it'll sometimes zip to the thing you can pick up, which is nice. You'll need player 2's drone to help you out if the object is too big. Sometimes even that barely helps.
Hey, we got where we needed to go.
Yeah.
Next, Rolo the Bomb, which changes players into small, spherical, rolling explosives. You can get into tight spaces and also explode. The blast will obliterate objects of the same color as the blast. It'll defeat enemies fast and stun them if you're not their same color, which helps when one player solves a puzzle faster than you and can't defeat an enemy, giving you trouble. Right, James? Right? You could stun him, you know? You could stun him!
Finally, we have Power Kid. This takes the form of a glove that can call objects to it. Prisms, pull tabs, spiky creatures. It can also throw things. Better yet, it can throw, then switch places with the thrown objects. It's actually very cool.
Every obstacle that isn't an enemy will require one or several of these gadgets to work in tandem with each other, usually requiring a lot of trust in your second player to use their gadgets effectively so you don't both spend 20 minutes trying to solve a puzzle.
I'm not sure trust is what I would say solved some of these puzzles. A better way of saying it is Jamesing it. Like this gate puzzle. I have no idea how to solve it, so I just invented an answer and we got across.
There's no wrong way to solve a puzzle as long as it's solved.
Fair point. Every level features a series of puzzles, Slappy Meals, several collectibles like stickers and goldies, as well as a boss. If you can't get enough of the intricate fun of combat, every level will catch you in a trance of battle with a boss to put a fine exclamation point at the end of the sentence, "I loved this level," which I find myself saying after we beat every level. There's never a moment of mindless disengagement, you're always thinking of the gadget that helps you progress or the color that you need to move on.
Which you then yell at your second player until they finally listen! What often becomes even more interesting than playing straight through the game are the secret puzzles sprinkled throughout that nab you stickers. You'd barely notice them, but often there's a platform without a pig on it, or two mysterious panels on a wall, or a slot under an object you can barely see that will get you a sticker. Goldies are often hidden in giant eggs visible from space, so you won't have much trouble finding them, but stickers can be difficult to spot. These little secrets make levels worth replaying if you miss something.
If you ever get sick of PopuCon becoming better and better as each level comes and goes, you can step away and play dress up with the new outfits you unlock the ability to purchase. These prisms you collect are your currency. They'll afford you shoes, hats, and outfits. I look great!
You look like a door-to-door failure salesman.
You can also check on the progress of the goldies you rescued. Further beyond that, you can
go to the free arcade! There are 5 arcade games you can play here, with new bits and pieces that unlock as you play through the main game.
First, there's Volley Boink. Both players select a creature to act as their forward man and their backward guy, and they play volleyball. Effectively. It's unpredictable and a lot of fun.
Pop You 2! You and player 2 have to stick colored balls to yourself to create the biggest combo. It's a score climbing game similar to Mario Party 7's Stick and Spin, only more mobile. This footage will explain it better than I can.
This one on the back that you play by shooting your gun at a wall. I don't know the name of this one, but you try and claim the most blocks in your colors than player 2. It's not super clear how, but I beat Andy.
It's broken, I think.
Battle from Meowtopia is a heartfelt story about a species driven to the edge of extinction by an opposing force with influence and power beyond what anyone could have known. In the chaos of a failing society, a team of highly trained, intelligent, adventurous cats must venture into space to seek out a planet they can call home. Using match 3 gunplay, defeating enemies, and teamwork, our widow kitties may just find the home they so desperately seek. The stars are endless, and so is their determination.
If you're unsatisfied with the main game, playing dress up, playing unwinnable games of volley, boink, and saving space kitties, then you can check out the Party Mode. It's a 3 to 4 player experience. Unfortunately, I wasted all of my staples keeping James down for the 2-player mode, so we didn't get a chance to play it. But we can assume it is probably just as fun, if not more, than the main game and arcade games.
PopuCon is a good game that becomes more and more good as you go through the game. While we're not sure just how good it can get when playing with a stranger, it certainly has the ability to become someone's game of the year if you have the right partner.
Yes, I think even without you constantly pelting me with wrong colors, frustrating me by stealing my hearts, and adding bulbs to creatures near death, this is still a rather incredible game. Certainly something that is worth getting a few copies of so everyone in your immediate circle can check it out. Except the James. Don't give it to the James of your group. Kevin's playing Hades 2. I want to know what happens when I dualize that time of year and a bunch of games we played. I'm sure it can't be dangerous.
Hey, you okay?
Yep, I'm good.
Ooh, what's that? Were you dualizing again?
Maybe. Did it work?
Yeah, you made the review mo.
No, I was trying to make lunch.
It's finally that time of year. Time to take a look at all the games we played in the first 6 months of 2025. It's more games than anyone has the bravery, the commitment, or the lack of awareness to review.
But it's not every game. Don't worry, James has created some arbitrary rules for these, just like everything in life.
Yep.
The games in this list will be ones we haven't reviewed separately, be ones we've played a significant portion of or beaten, and be ones that came out between January 1st and when we started writing this.
And Andy's too complacent and bored with me to argue. So let's begin before he decides to have more more patience with me.
I'm also still recovering from an impossible explosion happening right near my face and hands. I'll slap and give you harsh looks later. Let's begin.
In Cuisinier, you play as this absolutely adorably designed character who inherits a restaurant from her parents along with every single bit of their debt. She must now dig deep into dungeons, ripping enemies apart in order to gather the insides to cook delicious dishes for her new money hole. If this sounds very similar to another shop-running, dungeon-crawling RPG, that's because it very much is.
This gameplay looks like it was done about 100 times too.
Cuisinier is a boring, uninspired, stripped-down ripoff of the original Moonlighter that is trapped and hindered by long loading screens, meta progression so slow Paint asks it to hurry up, and combat it is so proud of it strips the player of dodge-based iframes, slow attacks with the range of a fart, and an art style that makes me wish this was a better game. Specifically the splash screen that crowds every loading screen. I wish we got that game. What we have here you would definitely believe is some type of mobile gacha game. I'm sure Andy forgot what this was and assumed it was a gacha game as soon as the footage showed up here.
He's not wrong. How about we move on?
Are you guys ready for a unique concept?
My pants can't handle that kind of excitement. Bring it!
In this action-focused game where you gather a runes-like currency from defeating enemies and you lose a portion for dying while activating branches along several linear paths, you play as a mysterious sword-clad badass who must defeat alien creatures because they pose a threat to what's left of humanity.
This sounds way too familiar.
It very much is. If you remove the over-sexualized content, skill points, and better-than-average writing, you get AI limit. It also glitched really hard, locked my camera, turned off my D-pad, and forced me to exit the game. I lost a lot of progress and decided I would just replay Stellar Blade again if I wanted to see all these concepts done only slightly better.
With this game coming from the same developer of, and in the same genre as, It Takes Two, comparisons are inevitable. Unfortunately, Split Fiction doesn't reach the same heights. You and your second player follow along a linear path full of 3D platforming challenges while your two protagonists bicker and quip a narrative at you. That narrative is, unfortunately, quite relevant in the current landscape of generative AI, but also falls apart pretty quickly if you think about it for a couple seconds. As for the platforming, it's pretty easy to grasp. After the motorcycle segment,
That looks like a fire truck.
crane,
Okay, I did
door,
it. Giraffes! I don't see any giraffes! Skip!
ads, I phased right through that car, emergency, ramp, window. None of the rest of the game was especially intriguing or tickling. It was all just complicated enough to keep us going. However, I can't help but suspect Split Fiction was more focused on spectacle, whereas It Takes Two actually encouraged playfulness.
That idea is never clearer than when you're handling the secondary storylines told through bubbles of narrative you can find hidden throughout the main game. There's no currencies to seek out or collectibles to find, just these spheres of intrigue. In It Takes Two, there were breaks in the game for both players to have a bit of friendly competition in the minigames to be found. In Split Fiction, the side stories are extensions of the main game where both protagonists bicker about how amazing everything looks and how they're so shocked the system can do these things. I'm sure Hazelight expected the players to be as awestruck as the in-game viewer, but we were not.
I haven't finished Pipistrello, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm not sure if anyone remembers my rule about Metroidvanias and similar game types, the one I established in my Prince of Persia Sands of Time review. The rule is, for any of these games to justify their existence, they need to come up with new, cool powers that tie into their gimmicks or narrative. No more games that just offer jump, wall jump, double jump. Let's get wild from now on. Anyway, Pipistrello has been doing great with this new rule. The game is focused around a possessed yo-yo, so almost every new power feels different. Combat reminds me a little bit of the first Zelda, with attacks going in 4 directions and going in a pumping motion. Every change, though, makes it feel so fluid, which is good since there are a lot of slappy meals filled to the brim with enemies. The exploration and puzzles in Pipistrello are also very satisfying. For exploration, there are huge paths in the map that are entirely out of the way and optional, but full of goodies, and the puzzles are consistently brain-bending. There are a few times where I was pretty sure I broke something, but no, the game totally wanted me to do that. I will say though, I'm not a huge fan of the upgrades. There's a Paper Mario style badge system, but it's not very exciting. And there's a skill tree, but the method to unlock bonuses involve intentionally accepting downgrades and paying off a debt using only half the money you collect. The character's a germaphobe, so they only want new money, which is definitely how that works. This causes a scenario where you downgrade your attack to boost your life, but then downgrade your life to boost your attack. Doesn't really feel like you're gaining any ground.
I noticed something you never explained. Why is it called the Cursed Yo-Yo?
Because get this, there's a cursed yo-yo.
Oh, I thought the explanation would be a bit more intimidating than that.
But James, it's a cursed yo-yo.
I'm not sure I could put into words the absolute mega fumble that Wings of Endless ended up being.
You could try.
But I'll try. For a game that started me with a double jump and a single in-air dash, it was already on the right foot before the adventure even began. The skill point system was done well, the combat works okay, and the switchable characters seem like a recipe for a win. Unfortunately, it all breaks down when you try and fight anything or move through the desert or ice areas. The combat system has several means of stamina bar for each character. Enemies aren't stunned long enough for your third hit to strike, which you are animation locked into, so you will take damage if you try and use it, and every enemy has no wind-up frames for attacks. Specifically the sandworms, which appear right under you and will kill you in 2 hits.
Oh, this looked like it was right up your alley.
It was. Then it told me the dodge wasn't for dodging, the air dash offers no invincibility, and the stamina bars are wholeheartedly invasive and unnecessary. And I absolutely hate playing it. I hate how much better this could have been and how awful it truly is. Before I let Andy talk about how this is one of his favorite installments in the series and a very fun game overall, I have to say, this game is great. Really great. The remaster totally changed my feelings about Grace's F. I've gone back to this game to play some bite-sized pieces every so often because I actually can't get enough.
Wow, thanks for stepping on my toes, stealing my points, and stepping aside, James. No behaviors to observe there. Anyway, after getting burned so severely from Tales of Symphonia's remaster only 2 years ago, it's such a relief to see Graces be treated not only well, but properly. Tales of Graces F is one of my personal favorites in the series, and a very fun game to play overall, but the additions and changes in the remaster only add to the experience. You'll find advertisements for things like quest markers, a faster sprint in the overworld, and additional subtitles, but what you won't notice until you play the game is how loading screens have been cleaved into dust. Battles load so fast now, even on Switch. Even better for us casual players, the New Game Plus bonuses are available at the very beginning of your first playthrough, and can even be changed later. For us, who already finished the original release, this was a massive favor, but I'd argue all RPG remasters and re-releases should do this. Returning players can have fun with weird bonuses, and casual players can mess around and find out. For us, we turned on the extra CC options. The combat is already frantic and offers loads of options at any time, but the extra CC only accelerates the pace and keeps you on your toes.
I find myself having a hard time writing this review without anything but frustration sitting in my heart. You see, Knights in Tight Spaces, much like Fights in Tight Spaces, is a strategy deck-building RPG where you take on a host of enemies with various weapons, using cards in a deck you find and unlock, as well as forethought to see some enemies will just punch each other. Every fight nets you some rewards such as money, consumables, sometimes cards, and healing. Sometimes it'll net you one of those things because you didn't complete some of the side quests such as pushing enemies off the edge or beating the battle in a certain number of turns. Because Knights in Tight Spaces takes inspiration from the D&D scene, a single run can last an upwards of hours, often leaving you strapped for healing resources and cash.
Aren't you addicted to this kind of gameplay?
Yes, and my frustration lies with the roguelike aspects of it.
There it is. Strap in, folks. We're gonna hear about a roguelike and James playing it.
Yes, at its core, this game is a roguelike, and after losing several times to arbitrary rules and stacks of attacks I had no way of evading or blocking, I reached a point at which I could no longer look at this without being mad at it. I love this kind of gameplay. It brings me great joy to see a stack of cards work together, but I spent 10 fucking hours on a single fucking run. I was careful, I was calculating. I put more thought into playing this game than most others. In the end, the choices for paths didn't offer any healing or reviving, or even a damn break between fights.
Can you restart fights?
If you pick that difficulty, yeah. But what use is restarting a boss fight after losing 2 of my 3 party members and only 5 HP left? Not much. This game is extremely well designed, highly recommended to fans of strategy games, but I can't see myself going back to it. Losing hours of work like that is difficult. This is my first Atelier game. This series has always been a curiosity to me, but never something I have a vested interest in actually playing. That is, until the trailer released that showed the main character Yumiya on a motorcycle zipping around the open world. That pinned it for me, that was it, I needed this game. Beyond that, moments of combat were shown and the world to be explored. I am very invested in this game. Before I get to that though, I want to talk about some of the problems it has. First, optimization. Yumiya does not run well on the Switch. Even worse when in handheld mode. Still worse if you use the motorcycle. So that thing that got me excited from the trailer, yeah, I can't use it unless I want the game to crash. That's a bummer, but whatever. Another issue, the level cap was set at 100 when the game released. I reached that in about 20 hours of playtime and still had 2/3 of the game to explore. Luckily, the cap was raised in a post-release update. Still waiting on the Grace's F Asbel outfit to come in though. Now, why I love this game. First and foremost, the open world.
Open worlds aren't supposed to be loved by you, James. What is this?
I know, but this open world is spotted with locations of intrigue marked via question marks. These will be shrines you can activate, mini shrines to shoot, gathering spots for ingredients, monster camps full of beasts, and landmarks. Each and every one of these will net you something. No question mark exists for absolutely no reason. There's always progression to be made in some way. Skill points, experience, ingredients. There's palpable, noticeable forward progress made in some way as a reward for seeking out every question mark on the map. Discovery makes you stronger.
Bet there's a limit on the amount of stuff you can carry.
There is, but you can visit a campsite, build a storage bin, and alleviate your heavy bag at any time with the fast travel, then get back into the fight. Speaking of fighting, the combat system is really, really good. It can even be easily broken, which will excite Andy.
Breaking.
Not to be too detailed, but every character has their own weapons at close and long range, their own strengths, their own secondary abilities that activate with attacks, and can be outfitted with elemental attacks that deal a lot of damage when activated in friend actions. I have broken the game enough to where battles, even boss battles, last less than 20 seconds. My elemental attacks have become so powerful thanks to synthesizing.
Ah, the main crux of the Atelier series. Synthesizing.
Dual synthesizing is basically combining things to make a thing. It's the point of collecting so many ingredients, because you can make and power up your equipment to be just like me. At the time of writing this, I am nearly to the end of Yumiya, and while the DLC pass walling off content is a Ye Sex Proud Nordics move, I'm really hoping I'm not missing anything by not buying the pass. I'm really hoping the content I'm going to miss is vestigial, because this game is damn good, and it doesn't need more than it already has.
What about the Asbel outfit?
That would be great.
What about optimization?
That would also be great.
Ain't that exactly how it is?
Hey Andy,
What's up?
why can't we both be on screen?
It pertains to today's review.
How does it work if we interrupt each other?
I'd rather you not.
Interruption!
Well, you broke it.
Quartet first appeared as a Kickstarter in September 2021. 4 years later, it's released to the PC playing public with announcements for console ports and DLC. Quartet promises to be a classic RPG, taking inspiration from the 16-bit greats of old. So does it pay accurate respect while still managing to stand on its own?
In short, yes. I think it does.
Quartet depicts 8 major playable characters going through 4 stories to reach one fateful conclusion. Along the way, they'll take down foes in turn-based combat, pick up plenty of equipment and accessories, and exchange a novel's worth of dialogue.
The overall setting of Quartet is inspired by the early 20th century era of fashion, architecture, and politics. There's dialogue noting radios and iceboxes as being items of luxury. However, there's still the fantastical elements of magic and swordplay woven into the storytelling. Similar to the real world, this time of burgeoning technology plays host to a horrifying arms race, during which nations compete to deal the cruelest blows in the shortest time. Indeed, Quartet tells a harsh story depicting genocide, child abuse, and further horrors. This additionally extends to the awesome power of magic, whose dark depths are tapped into at multiple points. But through it all, there remains glimmers of light, where survivors live for no other reason than the hope of their progenitors.
After starting a new file and playing a short prologue, you'll get to decide between 4 chapters which will introduce the main cast. You can play these in any order, but this here is just about the only variation the game offers. It is otherwise fairly linear.
The individual character stories that start in these chapters don't actually reach a conclusion unless you do side quests later in the game. If you stick to the main quest, these threads will remain loose. It's a little inelegant since it causes the characters to feel completely separate from both the main story and each other, but things do get wrapped up nicely.
That explains all these threads on the floor. Unfinished quests.
That's Okra tearing up your favorite pants again.
Oh, yeah.
Are you gonna stop her? After playing through the whole game, Ben is my absolute favorite. And I have no idea why Jerome is here. Weird how the two healers can be polar opposites. The aforementioned linearity extends to the level design as well. In general, exploration in Quartet is... well, not really present. Maps offer a singular, winding pathway through areas, with the only branches accounting for small splinters lasting a couple seconds. They're worth looking for, since you'll find an item or some money, but the world does end up feeling narrow. This is further accentuated by the fact you don't return to areas after you've left them. Some narrative reason will prevent you from backtracking. This means you can't clean up on collectibles, nor grind previous enemy encounters. A bit of advice: check bookshelves!
Wait!
Why are we doing this?
RPG collectibles, James! RPG collectibles.
As you go, you'll notice there are no random encounters. Enemies are instead indicated by icons that are bottlenecked by terrain and usually don't respawn. Nearly every enemy encounter is planned. Therefore, it can be assumed that character growth is controlled to coincide with the narrative. All of this leads to a focused, linear, narrative-heavy game. With Quartet guiding the player so diligently, it becomes a question as to whether it's paced well enough to keep things interesting. So, is it?
In short, yeah, I'd say so.
What about in long pants?
Dialogue is well written, balancing intellectual debate, frank demands, and lore-heavy explanation. Battles keep things zesty by breaking the narrative up, and a sprinkling of equipment and items prevents the player from feeling stagnant or bored. Not to mention, the pixel art is gorgeous and full of detail, and the music throughout is sweeping and catchy. In particular, I love how the overworld gets different music for each character. Alexandra's sounds like Steely Dan going on a hike. Now, almost everything we just said gets completely upended in the late game when you get an airship. Suddenly, you can go almost anywhere, fight old enemies, and find hidden locations. And there are side quests, which I mentioned earlier. It's all a welcome change of pace, if a bit jarring, but I do rather wish more of the game got to see this treatment.
You keep mentioning combat and enemies, but you have yet to talk about the battle system.
Get ready then! Quartet's combat is good old-fashioned turn-based fare, with commands for attack, skills, items, and escape. My favorite one. However, Quartet keeps combat flavorful with two specific mechanics. The first is a visible action timeline on the right, which gives you forewarning as to who goes next. It isn't written in stone, though, and can be manipulated through various means. The second is swapping. Since you can only ever fight with 4 characters at a time, but you have 8 to play with, swapping is how everyone gets in on the fun. It's basically free, since the swapped-in character's turn occurs immediately. Using swapping unlocks boatloads of character skill combinations, and prevents you from being locked into an unfavorable party setup. Since every character's stat breakdown and skill list is unique, they all fill separate roles, so they come into play for different strategies. It's probably the most satisfying part of playing Quartet, since I found a few ways to completely break bosses by swapping characters around.
Damn, swapping sounds great. How often do you get to use it?
Ooh, you're not gonna like the answer. Like I said, using swap is basically unrestricted, but you get the ability so late in the game and there are various times when it's disabled. For something advertised on the Steam page to set it apart from the competition, it isn't properly used until upwards of 10 hours in. Those two aspects aside, if you know RPGs, you'll be quite comfortable playing Quartet. HP lets you take a punch and AP lets you punch back with flavor. Notably, AP is recovered by characters every turn, no matter their action, so everyone is always cooking up some measure of trick.
This is an RPG, right? Tell me about some stats and level ups then. And hurry!
Yelling will net you no answers, you know. The answer to your question is for them, not for you. I choose not to reward your behavior. Now then, as characters level up, they'll learn their own list of skills. Between the 8 heroes, I'd say there's really only 2 skills that feel near duplicate, but it's a healing skill anyway, so no harm done. Literally. However, something I did notice was that I'd have a difficult time keeping track of all the things every character could do. I'd be in a fight and find myself scrolling through all my characters in the swap menu, trying to remember all the skills and their effects. This glut overflows into the menu design as well. Anytime you get a new piece of equipment, you have 8 pages of character stats to surf through as you compare who should get what. It's a lot to keep straight.
Good. Now let's talk equipment. Do you like it?
In briefs, I do enjoy how ambitious the items and accessories are. Some of these stat boosts are nuts, and some pieces even give characters totally new quirks.
Speaking of doing things longly, what if you made a tier list of all the characters?
Oh, I'm so unprepared. I have no notes for this, no. Alright, here we go. Ben is probably my favorite. He has a heartbreaking story throughout, and his abilities are maddeningly useful. I'm not a fan of how he becomes a comic relief by way of a language barrier for a while, but he's inarguably incredible otherwise.
Ben goes in the S tier.
Juna has exactly one useful ability, which is delaying the enemy turn. Set that on rapid fire and win every fight, always, forever. Her position as a talking animal representing nature in the struggle for magical domination goes mostly unheard throughout the story, but I think it could have been a much better angle if it were explored.
Juna goes in the S tier.
Jerome is the best healer, and strangely has good offense as well. His story is almost non-existent though.
Jerome goes in the A tier.
Agata is a reliable damage dealer with multiple sinister attacks. She's an orphan of a tribe of warriors, so it was a bit predictable.
Agata goes in the B tier.
Nikolai fulfills a similar role to Agata, but with skills that can cause stat debuffs. One could make the argument he's the main character with how important he is to the main events, but I'm not sure he really learned anything.
Nikolai goes in the B tier.
Zikaron is useful when he has a ton of AP. His only attack skill deals a fixed amount of damage, which can be nice, but it isn't a kill shot. He can massively turn the tide with stat debuffs or changing the turn order, before being swapped out for someone useful. His story isn't really his own, but I did like how it was told.
Zikaron goes in the C tier.
Cordelia is a mage, so she's propped up entirely by her skills. Unfortunately, she has exactly 2 useful offensive spells, while the rest are stat debuffs that can be done better by Zikaron. Her story taking place in the Western Frontier is cool though.
Cordelia goes in the C tier.
Alexandra is near useless in battle, unless the battle is specifically designed to be weak against her element. It's weird that she seems to be positioned as the game's main character, given a few select events and her inclusion in the crossover RPG Infinite Alliance. Meanwhile, her role in the story is intentionally separating herself from what's happening around her.
Alexandra goes in the D tier.
All that said, I wouldn't say there are any bad characters, neither in their writing nor their combat role. Everyone is important and useful. I had a lot of fun playing Quartet. The story and dialogue was engaging for me personally, since I enjoy emotional writing and
High-stakes tragedy!
the combat was pretty standard until Swap was introduced, and then exploded with options and opportunity. And the end game offered a lot to engage with, and I made sure to do as much as I could. My gripes with the game really ended up being nitpicks. I don't really like how dialogue boxes have this long pause between them. It's just long enough to make me think the conversation is done and I can move again, but my input isn't read, so I briefly question if the game is frozen. There's also the fact that the airship's map has 0 labels for things. When a quest tells me to go somewhere, I have no idea where it could be, so I end up just rubbing the airship on every location until I find it. Nothing game-breaking, just annoying. Quartet is a very solid game, and it stuck in my brain throughout my time playing it. I recommend it to anyone who likes top-down, turn-based RPGs of this style, and is hoping for a very serious story at the sacrifice of open-ended exploration and side content. Doofy Goomba! Were you aware? James writes many scripts for things that never see the light of day. Drillblade and Metal Jacket Part 2, Andy Moves Out, How Much Cheese? Is this a couch? Do I have this at home? All things James has written, but may never release. Well, on a routine rummage through his things for quarters to play arcade games, I discovered this review, and no quarters. It's of a certain application. Please enjoy.
I think I want to cut the fat in my social media feeds. No more bots peddling AI shit that people are using to substitute real conversation. No more arguments against my very correct opinions. And no more Sony, Xbox, or indie things.
Then do I have the app for you? Nintendo Today! The home for everything Nintendo, from image galleries to trailers and behind-the-scenes reveals, and for some reason, another
Nehru-Borting calendar!
Seriously, who needs another calendar?
People who like Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, or Pikmin, and nothing else, because those are your theme choices for the app. I find myself enthralled by the 7 seconds of scrolling I do before I hit the bottom of the page. Can go no further and see no previous Nintendo Today announcements. Were there any? Were any of the images cool? I don't know, because no one likes things of yesterday. Today is the only day that Nintendo's today.
I'm personally a fan of the fact this app is basically a Nintendo-themed photo app where you scroll through pictures, zoom in on pictures, and look at pictures.
How about we click off the main feed to look at all that juicy news that was announced, then announced 4 seconds later on a social feed people actually pay attention to. It's actually kind of cool to scroll through previous announcements and such.
Try playing that oh-so-important Kirby Signmouth one. Did you enjoy that? Nintendo likes to keep a tight ship, as they won't let fans make free fan games, and they won't let schlubs share their videos either. They somehow took the sharing part out of their social media sharing application.
Wow, the monkey's paw curled really hard when I made that wish, huh? This app is so dry and stale and far too late to be anything close to relevant. What type of audience are they hoping for anyway when the only reactions you're allowed to use are useful, funny, cool, and cute? Did those really test that well?
Also, who really thought this post from Dragon Drive was cute? Fess up, come on.
This is another attempt at Nintendo grasping for the 5-second attention span everyone has, and it's very dumb. I'm not going to use a Nintendo social media app on the regular when it strips things like sharing, genuine reactions, or actual cool Nintendo stuff. I'm not some Nintendo app collector. This one is a skip. Just like Mario Run, Dr. Mario World, Mario Kart Tour, the Nintendo Switch app, and Fire Emblem Heroes.
Are you sure you're not some Nintendo app shill?
Yo, the Nintendo Music app might be my game of the year.
I think James likes being near dudes.
I like fisting dudes, that's for sure. I'm sick and tired of all the Donkey Kong Bonanza stuff I see. Punching things this, ooga ooga that, dancing everywhere. I want a real game. Something with passion, strength, and awkward facial expressions.
Is this because we're not willing to spend half a month's rent on a system the maker can shut off if you look at it too long, and a game that costs more than even the worst Zelda game?
You'd be shocked to know how wrong you are about the price.
The price of what?
The price of
Wario World.
It can't be that expensive. Oh dear me! That's a ripoff. Oh, that one's not so bad.
Welcome to the Rich Man's Bonanza, Wario World, a game about fisting your way through enemies, hazards, boxes, puzzles, bosses, precarious jumps, and more. You'll hap and hoop your way across 8 levels and 13 bosses in this treasure-developed game about Nintendo's former most talkative character in overalls.
Treasure? The same people that made Mischief Makers and gave us the greatest moment in any Nintendo 64 game ever? Oh my god. Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Oh my god!
I didn't expect that.
That was fucking awesome!
Okay, let's reevaluate.
The very same. I'm convinced we would have 2 or 3 more Wario World sequels by now, of varying quality, if Treasure was allowed to make games anymore. Anyway, Treasure made this, which means it's bound to be weird in many ways, but fun all the same. Having played very few of their games, Treasure's signature style is definitely splooged all over this game somehow.
Do not ever use that word again.
Fine, I'll never use the word style ever again.
Stop that. You know what I mean.
The story of Wario World is quite simple. Wario spent an amount of time collecting treasure in the form of gems, chests, coins, and more. On his travels, he picked up an evil gem that once fed on the wishes of the good creatures of the world.
Was that dark gem sealed away and hard to find for a reason?
Possibly. Because it does wake up and turn all of Wario's treasures into evil spirits and seals them in a treasure-warped world of levels, bosses, and collectathons.
I would say so then. The best part of this opening cutscene has to be Wario manically laughing while sitting in amongst his travel-earned gains. You know, before he's sucked into the world the game takes place in.
Land hard and indulge in the goals of Wario World. To face down the treacherous Dark Jewel final boss of this game, you, as Wario, must travel to 8 levels and 12 bosses to collect Wario's stash. Every level has its own theming that affects the platforming you come across and the enemies you encounter.
Hidden in each level are 8 treasure chests, which are pretty to look at, 5 spritlings that teach you helpful tips and tricks about the game, the story, or the upcoming boss of the level, a varying amount of red diamonds gathered by entering these flapping doors that contain precarious platforming puzzles, and a boss crafted from some 5-year-old's nightmare.
Can't forget the heart trophies. Collecting all of them will give you a half heart per level, full heart per area, 4 hearts per playthrough.
And complete one of these sexy statues. Ooh. Oh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Like butter.
Wait, what's that? To acquire each treasure, which reside on these colored panels, you must find the button that corresponds. Pink panel, pink button. It even makes a satisfying when pressed. The treasure panel will emit a pulsing sound when activated, so you can hear it as you approach as well.
The 5 spritlings are held captive in these tiny-ass boxes and are ugly as sin. Collecting each of these in every level is important to learn certain mechanics of the game, get tips on how to defeat each nightmare of a boss, and a final reason that won't come into play until you face down the Dark Jewel.
The red diamonds are trapped in these flat doors. You'll just ground pound into them if they're wood. You'll need to grab an enemy and pile drive it to open the metal doors. An action James finds far more satisfying than anyone should. Enjoying anything that much is a crime in Arkansas. Our wall of restraining orders is proof of that.
Honestly, the combat in this game is very simple and wholeheartedly gratifying. Pressing B will cause Wario to throw a simple 2-punch combo. When near an enemy, he'll end that combo with a major headbutt. It's powerful, Wario shouts,
Wonderful!
every time he does it, and it's just so fucking satisfying. Pressing B near a stunned enemy will pick them up, at which point you can charge a throw or spin them nearly 30 times, which is required to solve some puzzles. Wario truly has the strength to do these things, has fun doing them, and I cannot believe a sequel to this game hasn't come out yet. An affordable sequel. Anyway, pressing R will activate Wario's signature shoulder charge, which hits enemies several times. Pressing A during this will allow Wario a dash jump, which doubles as an attack. L will let Wario copy Kirby as he unhooks his jaw and inhales sharply. This draws in nearby money and garlic that's fallen on the floor.
All of these bullish skills are definitely required to traverse every level, as well as figure out the trapdoor puzzles. The wooden doors usually lead to enclosed spaces where you can rotate the camera around the puzzle to figure out the hazards to dodge and the blocks that block other blocks in a block-blocking way. To some degree, this feels like a precursor to Captain Toad's rotatory puzzles. The way they rotate, the angles objects are placed, certainly a 2003 interpretation of puzzles like this.
These puzzles will sometimes house heart trophies or spritlings, so keep an eye out, specifically in the metal door ones, which are anxiety-inducing stress bombs of hate and anger. They get their own intro, their own tune, and are usually themed around very tense platforming. From launching yourself from glue spheres in midair to an entire labyrinth with ledge detection only marginally better than Super Mario 64. These don't have any floor to rely on like the wooden door ones, so one mistake is a full restart of the whole thing.
How many tries did that labyrinth take?
Exactly 1. I was incredibly careful and calculating. I had to make some precarious jumps, but in the end, 1 was all I needed, which was pulse pounding in and of itself.
I don't believe you for a second, but I'm sure you'll edit the footage to make it look like 1 try.
Don't put that thought out there. Now no one will believe me.
No one does.
As you move from flapdoor to flapdoor, chest to chest, and spritling to spritling, you'll encounter a handful of different enemies to beat the fuck out of, each of them dropping a pile of coins to collect. Coins have 2 uses: healing and reviving. Sometimes this garlic creature will appear and demand an amount of coins that will go up every time you buy and after each level. Running out of hearts will cost you several hundred coins to revive from where you left off, so collecting a lot of them is important and painfully easy.
Every enemy drops coins. Every hit causes coins to appear. Every defeat will throw coins your way. Coins are literally everywhere and are prizes for everything. You even get a coin per enemy beaten at the end of every level, so you should be swimming in wealth even if you get a game over a few times during a boss.
It's easy too, because the combat is so fun. Punching dudes, headbutting dudes, ramming dudes, pile driving dudes, ground pounding dudes, spinning dudes, throwing dudes. It's just so fun and rewarding.
It's also short. 8 levels and 13 bosses is not a lot of game to play, even if you fail 73 times at any of the puzzles like James did. Playtime should still stay under 7 hours, which seems like the perfect amount of time to enjoy, be intimidated by, overcome, and not get too annoyed by the challenges of Wario World.
Pile drive the Dark Jewel after collecting everything in the game, and you will have finished one of the best Wario adventures this side of the moon. While not particularly complicated, it was certainly a lot of fun to return to. In fact, while collecting footage for our DK video,
available now on our channel, give it a watch,
I replayed Wario World to find it a lot more fun than I had in the past. But when it has punching, beating, crushing, and fisting as hard as this game does, of course I'm gonna have a good time. Hopefully this is added to the Nintendo Switch 2 online thing so others can experience the rich man's bonanza one day.
You can feel pride. It's only one of the 7 deadly sins.
If I had a fucking nickel for every hybrid Nintendo game system launch title that was an installment of one of their IPs they owned and honed over many decades only for it to be some open world disappointment the internet seems to have no real criticisms for, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Remember not even a month ago when we, James and I, were bashing the price of the Nintendo Switch 2, Switch 2 games, and Switch 2 accessories? We do, and here we are, Switch 2 in the hand, Mario Kart World is the plan. The next generation of Nintendo games has dawned, and the son of games peeking over the cape is Mario Kart World. A true step forward in some aspect, we just don't know which one.
Mario Kart World features more racers than any installment ever has. Even 8 Deluxe plus DLC only had 45.
But James, You're not counting Mario, All-Terrain Mario, Mechanic Mario, Dune Rider Mario, Happy Mario, Tall Mario, Hungry Mario, Eccentric Mario, Wonderful Mario, Goombario.
I get it!
All of these outfit choices and a 40-year history of Mario's games, and you still didn't pick the most obvious outfit? No Dr. Mario? He can fight and administer vaccines, but he can't drive? How fair is that?
In addition to having 50 different racers, more than half of them also have outfits that will plague the character screen as you unlock them.
I don't understand this menu design. The significant amount of backpedaling and list format menus Nintendo has performed since Mario Kart 8 should be studied. 8 had the best selection screen for this type of thing. Pick character, pick color, done. Now we have this. 43 pages of PNGs.
It keeps in line with Nintendo's other horrible menu design decisions, like Tears of the Kingdoms and Echoes of Wisdoms. Remember how awful that shit was?
I do. I really do.
In addition to 50 characters to pick from, there are also 24 racers to compete against in each and every single race. That's the potential for several shells, several banana peels, and several buckets of bullshit to fly at you all at once. First is never a more dangerous position to hold than in World, specifically if you try to do any of the wall riding or rail grinding.
If you press no directions while accelerating and press the drift button until sparks appear under your car, you can jump. If you press a direction prior to jumping, you'll flip in that direction, which will allow you to get on rails, hop on walls, and in cases so rare we're sure they don't exist, you can dodge incoming shells and such.
If you don't have fighting game reflexes or don't know each of these courses better than your own address, grinding and riding will serve you no purpose. A computer or another player will seize a significant lead in first place and hold it even without any of the stupid trickery you'll attempt.
Speaking of trickery, there are 32 courses in Mario Kart World, all of them stitched together by these interim roads you'll race on to get to the next course. They're usually nearly straight lines that serve no purpose except to introduce players to the open world Nintendo tried so nutting hard to make for you, and you're just so ungrateful. Don't you just sit in awe at the vistas of this empty open valley you can't appreciate because of all the racers and items you have to dodge? You have to be driving with your mouth agape as you fly over all of this complete nonsense. You better be glued to your seat as you ramp over all of this whatever, cutting through what might be an interesting course you don't get to experience.
Interim courses are ridiculous because they throw off your timing. 5 laps? What? No. That's 4 finish lines you cross on the road, followed by 1 on the actual racetrack. Usually those are long roads with finish lines on them too. There are very few races that see literal laps taking place. Most of them are just spectacles of whatever you drive by.
Interim drives make races both interminable and too short. You see 5 laps and assume you're in for a baby park's worth of repeated environment, when in fact you spend most of that on the road driving to the actual race. And just as the interesting part actually begins, the race is over. Time to see 3 result screens, 2 loading screens, and race through the next stretch of similarly straight roadways.
Luckily, that's only one mode in Mario Kart World where the results screen plague your view. Grand Prix is what that's called. If you choose Knockout Tour, no result screens, it's just 6 courses and 5 interim roads straight until only one of you survives.
When did this become Mad Max?
Soon as the vignette kicked in.
Oh, I hate these. Also, why can't I see what place I'm in?
Ooh, the finish line for this portion of the tour must be coming up fast. I hope we make it.
This is really dumb. Didn't Mario Kart 64 Amped Up do this? Isn't it better? James? James?
I got hit by 3 green shells, a bullet bill, a star, a mega mushroom, and somehow my own bob-omb, and a boost on my coin. Good luck, Andy. I hope you come in first so we don't have to repeat this 15-minute process again.
Yo guys, it's me, Charlie. Hey, did that guy just turn into sand?
Each line in Knockout Tour will cut the last 4 racers out of the tour. A lot of dirty RNG happens here, so be prepared to be frustrated.
As you drive these drives, ride these roads, and get fucked by every shell on the planet, you'll encounter a new item, Magic Koopa. This weird thing will transform several racers in front of you into one of the NPC racers that are in this game.
No. NPC, non-playable character racer doesn't make sense.
I know, but that's what they're called, NPC racers.
According to whom?
I don't know, that's just what they're called. Reviewers say it, articles say it, NPCs.
So stupid people, which I refuse to become.
Sure. Anyway, the only way to unlock...
Oh, we're not done with this. We're coming back.
Anyway, the only way to unlock more of them is through the random transformations with the Magic Koopa item. It's ridiculous, random, and doesn't even affect everyone in the race, so why bother?
But James, You haven't even covered the most important part of why this character selection screen consumes an exorbitant amount of feculence.
Ah, you want to know how to play as all-terrain Luigi, Vacation Luigi, slightly different Vacation Luigi,
Okay.
Aristocrat King Boo, Biker Bowser.
I get it! Yes, those please.
Food!
Didn't work.
Throughout the cart world, you'll sometimes encounter these Yoshi's food stands. They'll be windows shoved in a building or full-on restaurant-style installations. They're usually marked by this colorful to-go bag. If you grab it and eat it as any of the non-NPC racers,
No, not NPCs.
you'll change outfits. Sometimes. Specific food stands in specific areas give specific outfits to specific characters. DK only having one extra outfit means there's never any reason to play as him after you have it. Mario and Luigi though, they have about 34, so they'll be your main racers. No matter how you eat it, you get a speed boost after doing so.
Wow, so that's random too. No fun way to earn them. Collecting coins, doing tricks, dusting off the time trial mode we never play in any game.
Speaking of collecting coins and doing tricks, carts! Every 100 coins earns you a car.
Cool!
There's 40.
Oh.
Once you have them all, there's no reason to collect coins anymore.
Alright, I have run out of reasons to care about racing. The main reason to play a racing game. What else is there?
The world part! In free roam,
Yeah?
you'll drive around a huge, empty, boring, empty map where you can spot cars driving in strange directions just like people do. You can even spot other racers riding around. Why? They don't do anything, they just dot the world and do nothing else. Then there's missions. Oh boy, missions are a thing. They happen in the form of blue P switches. Hit them and a bad explanation of a task will appear. The camera will then shift to show an approximation of the task to complete, and then you'll be set on a timer to complete it.
It's just more straight lines. It's all straight lines! Why is this several thousand versions of a drag race? That's not Mario Kart, to me anyway. Where's the turns you're meant to drift around? It can be straight sometimes, but this is just straightaway after straightaway. Why? Who thought this was the next step for Mario Kart?
I wasn't done. There's still Peach medallions and question block panels to find.
Oh, pardon me. Do those add anything? Do they make the world interesting?
No, you gotta learn and be really good at the flipping and grinding, which I am not.
Then we're done! You've dragged this out as long as you can, but this is a bad game. Mario Kart World is another rework of a high-profile Nintendo game series that makes it open world. Again! Why? You just got off the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC Pass train, and you step into this awfulness?
I'm fairly certain the popularity of Mario Kart World is strictly because non-bundled Switch 2 systems are so hard to come by.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. I think we're done. This is a bad game. Hopefully someone out there enjoyed it a lot more than we did, because we did the bare minimum to get mirror mode, then we stopped. Alright, time to see what we're reviewing next.
Is that your cough button?
That's my cough button.
Hey Andy, what's it called when you actively can't do other things because you're thinking of doing one thing? That one thing has consumed your entire thought process, your actions, your movements. Your nervous system and sleep schedule are coded to the next time you do that thing. What is that called?
That's called playing Ball X Pit.
I need help.
Nope. You need more.
Ball X Pit is a game that mixes resource management, bullet hell, city building, Arkanoid,
Breakout.
Arkanoid, and
Balls! And pits.
In the world of Ball X Pit, a pit exists. It's huge, deep, and requires you, as any of these fine gentle people, to descend into it, conquer each layer, and emerge victorious.
Story's a bit more than that, apparently. Balbalan, a lot of ball puns in this game, by the way, has fallen, and all that's left is a hole where it once stood. Just above that pit is a new city, New Balbalan, that will descend as far as it can to obtain treasures, defeat monsters, and rebuild what once was a sprawling city. Of course, James will likely concede that the story matters not for gameplay as good as it is.
I mean, understanding what you're doing and why is important, but at the same time,
Balls! Pits! Balls! Pits! Balls! Pits!
Eloquently put.
in Balbalan, you'll build structures such as homes, hotels, schools, churches, and other things I don't really recognize. Homes usually unlock characters, other buildings provide some measure of stat boost, or will make each descent easier and more fun. My personal favorite is the one that allows you an extra starting ball. Close second one is the one that allows that and your starting ball to start at max level.
Each character has a specific skill, stat set, and ball they begin with. Some allow many baby balls, which you shoot along with your special balls. Others will allow only a a certain type of special ball to be shot. There's a certain measure of balance you can entertain when picking your character and how to defeat the many monsters in the pit, or be James and pick the things that cause the most ruckus.
Ruckus is fun!
It certainly looks like a future migraine, I mean fun. After you choose your character, or characters, you can pick your lair and descend. This is where the meat of the game occurs. Aim your reticle in a direction, and you'll fire your balls there. Some characters have skills that affect how the reticle acts, which is kinda cool.
Inertia is not perpetual for each ball. Eventually they do just return to your character for firing. The conditions to make that happen vary depending on the character, balls, and passives you collect.
As you defeat enemies, they'll drop 3 things. Gold for buying buildings, upgrades, and supplies for building buildings, upgrades, and supplies, and experience gems, not for building buildings, upgrades, or supplies. Fill this bar on the bottom left of the screen by collecting the gems, and eventually you level up. Every level up will allow you a handful of upgrades, which can be new balls with new powers, new passives that grant, well, passive abilities, or leveling up either of those options. There's a lot of both balls and passives in this game, so every run will feel different if you want it to.
If you're worried that's where customization in this game ended, I'll let Andy tell you why you can stab that worry in the mouth, run it over with your car, and watch it be consumed by the various rodent-type creatures in your climate.
That's graphic. I don't think I want to now.
You're such a pit, Andy. One day you gotta stand up and be the ball. Fine, since Andy's pitting my ball, I'll show you.
Can you say one normal sentence about this game?
As you progress through each level, this bar on the right will fill. It's your progress bar. This indicates 2 mini-bosses and 1 boss stand between you and finishing the area. The 2 mini-bosses are just beefed up enemy sponges, but they drop something important. A fusion engine!
Now, we were normal enough. I think James is having a moment. The fusion engine allows you to take 2 or more of your balls and passives and create something new out of slamming them together. Evolution will make something new and terrifying, be it a noxious ball that causes poison buildup, a flashing ball that blinds every enemy on screen, or something else war crime adjacent. This can then be leveled up further for more fusing later on. Fusion adds 2 balls' abilities together. You can create a flash ball that also sets enemies on fire or makes them bleed, or other horrifying things. Then there's fission. This will upgrade 1 to 5 of your current balls and passives. If you run out of things to upgrade, you can also use fission to create money. Balls and passives will only go up to level 3.
I was just remembering how great some of the combos of balls are in this game. Flashing, exploding, nuclear bombing.
What about the passives combos?
I mean, there is one that makes enemies die if they touch you. That's kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, passives are great and so are their evolutions, but balls are where it's at. You can't smash those enemy bathtubs without huge, hard balls.
Bathtubs?
Yeah, every enemy is riding a bathtub that slowly climbs toward the bottom of the screen.
You mean they're graves?
Then explain the plants and lizards, and the stacked enemies.
Also graves.
Mini-bosses?
Yeah, graves.
Shut up, they're bathtubs. Every level will present its own hazards and challenges as you go deeper. Some are annoying like the poison-spitting bugs in the desert or the piles of fire in the fire area, but that's just part of the bullet hell this game can become. Usually when the bosses are on screen. Then you have to manage your aim a little better, unless you combo chose the juggler and the spendthrift. Then you just have to run around and never move your reticle.
There are definitely winning combos of adventurers, balls, and passives that ensure victory, but the game knows this and will wave its finger at you when you need to collect gears. Gears unlock the next level of the pit. When you need them, you get 1 per different character you beat the lair with, which means you have to think, James.
Hey, I've been doing that more often. Most of it's about Ball X Pit, but I'm trying.
Doesn't surprise me. This type of numbers go up while enemies fall down gameplay is right up your main street.
I am straight up addicted. It can have my main street and my side streets, even little causeways between them. Put your balls in my pits, Ball X Pit.
Okay, alright. Clearly James is enamored with this game.
Yep.
I am not a fan, but I am a fan of certain characters, such as the Tactician, which makes each run turn-based. You'll progress a few steps, then have a chance to alter your position and angle, shoot your balls, wait for the enemy's turn, then move on. There are also characters that wrench control from you, such as the Cogenitor and the Radical. Pairing them puts the game on autopilot, which is good for some people, I guess.
Not me. I dislike them both. I like being actively engaged in my immense failure. I would be much more pissed if I watched the game lose to itself. That would be ridiculous.
You've seen, said, and done more ridiculous things. In this review alone, really.
I'll happily ball more pits if more pits means more balls, and pits with balls and pits. Ball X Pit is a ball pit full of balls in a pit, and I would pit more balls with a smile on my ball. Pit.
I think he's gone.
To play more Ball X Pit! Yeah!
This was supposed to come with a toy?
Hey Andy, wanna watch me give 10,000 high fives?
Don't go near the mysterious hands outside our home, James.
What about the hands inside our home?
They're inside? Did you take the barricades off our doors?
Maybe. Kind of. Yes.
You did this for a joke, didn't you? Something related to our review today?
You know me so well!
Well, better review this before the hands get me too. Let's jump right into...
Have you ever fallen into a well while escaping police, only to discover a world under ours inhabited by demons and dangers, pledging your eternal soul in obedience to one such demon and or monster, and shackled yourself to an adventure through the psyche, trauma, and denial?
Only once.
Our cat, yeah. In Silly Polly Beast, you take on the role of Polly, an orphan with long blonde hair, a deadly boomerang skateboard, and a proficiency for falling on her ass all the time.
While James laughs at the compilation he made of a video game character injuring themselves, guess I'll move on. In Silly Polly Beast, you, as Polly, must venture to find your sister, or best friend, not sure which it is, Alice, who you believe escaped the orphanage you burned down. Yeah, Polly set fire to and burned down the orphanage that was caring for her. As you come to discover, though, this place is not the best place for... well, anyone to live.
Each chapter in the story reveals another hidden layer of despair that hung over the place, perpetrated by two main characters, Margot and Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith acts as a sort of corrections officer who will beat children senseless who aren't perfect little angels. She does so several times to Polly as you play through the game. Margot is a little snitch who picks Polly's actions to report on most, getting her and several other minor characters in huge trouble. I think they both deserve to burn.
That's cool. Still murder. Anyway, that's where you start. At the tail end of a tragedy involving caregivers, children, teens, and adults that Polly caused. Not unplanned, of course. This was, to some degree, planned by Polly, Alice, and other young denizens of the orphanage. Just could have been executed better.
They're young, not all their plans will go perfectly.
You're in your 30s and still can't answer a phone correctly. See?
Well, you can't even lip sync your own lips correctly.
Low blow.
And what is the vehicle connecting all of these plot points?
Guns, of course! Not all the time, though. You also have a skateboard and explosive demon larvae.
In order to defeat the many dangers that lurk in the well, Polly formed a pact with a mummified mysterious demon that allows her a weapon called the Demolver, and the ability to fight the enemies of the fog, including huge bugs, jumper things, spiky black masses, and people. Lots of people.
The murder spree continues. Enemy variation is not this game's strong suit. Most of them are humanoid creatures with different flavors of mask they wear. Collect those, by the way. Getting enough of them is crucial to learning lore about the world Polly now inhabits.
Over the course of many long hallways with jump scares galore, which I'm gonna pause the whole review to do this.
Oh, okay. Hold on. All right.
Andy, start the music.
Okay. There you go.
Fuck jump scares. They are a weak, uninspired way to generate tension in any situation. Silly Polly Beast is genuinely tense enough without having sudden fucking bear trap snaps, this sound that will stop your heart every so often, or this sound. I didn't spy a way to turn these off or lower their intensity, but motherfucker they suck. They will shock you nearly every time, specifically in the later chapters, when your goal is to navigate several floors of a building while a giant monster chases you down, places traps, and can kill you in one hit. Jump scares are stupid. This game didn't need any of them. The atmosphere was enough. Kill the music.
Oh, alright. You're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Glad I said that. Anyway. You'll always have 3 weapons on hand. Your Demolver, which is a revolver that refills at these barrels or when you hit enemies enough. You can upgrade it by finding bullet casings throughout the game. Your Skateboard, which has a several hit combo and a charged boomerang attack that takes way too long to charge. And any of the 3 interchangeable guns. A shotgun.
Kapow!
A P90. Pew, 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 pew. Or a stake gun.
Delicious. Oh no. Are we in the
Stamina bar? I'll take a only present to hamper one mechanic, please. Thank you. Yep, that there is a stamina bar. As you're looting and shooting, you'll also have to manage this while attacking with your skateboard, but nothing else. Dodging takes no stamina, healing doesn't, reloading doesn't, none of it. Pre-patch, you couldn't execute a 4-hit combo without running out and suffering a beating from the enemies nearby. Not a fan.
What would change if you took it out?
To dinner?
No, took the stamina bar out of the game.
Oh, Absolutely nothing. Considering it was built just to limit one single gameplay mechanic, removing it would change nothing. You'll opt to shoot more than you will to strike, and the Demolver has near infinite bullets. I wouldn't be shocked if there was an achievement for never using your skateboard to hit stuff.
So, there doesn't appear to be a hero of this story.
Nope.
You're steadily running out of things to say before repeating yourself.
Yep.
And considering your overall tone, I have to ask, what part of this game didn't have to drag you to the end, James?
The atmosphere. There's always an air of tension through the game that something is going to happen. What? I'm not sure. Maybe this box has answers. Maybe dragging this body will tell me. Ooh, what about this room? Does it hold secrets? I have a soft spot for a game with easy to find collectibles, an eerie, almost uninhabitable landscape, and checkpoints that will simply make you start a room over if you fail a task. I was never dragged through the game, to be sure. I had a grand old time finding out what was going to happen next and why. Did any of it make sense? No. Did I enjoy finding it? Fuck yes.
I noticed there's an argument in art styles here too. You're playing as a 3D character who looks kind of cool, then you pause the game, and you get the art style I wish stuck around more. The 2D character art in this game is what drew me in. The rest of it lost my interest, but I really wish we got to see more character sprites. They convey the emotions of every character much more than any of the models do. Except Margot, she got the best animation in the game, but she kind of needed it, I guess.
If I'm honest, the soundtrack was also a huge bonus in this game. I will perform feats of human strength and flexibility that will stun bodybuilders and scare contortionists for a soundtrack I actively listen to while writing and editing the review of the game that has it. I did that all in one take. I'm very impressed. I'm gonna keep that perfect.
Keep that whole thing.
It has staying power in my head, and I'm a big fan. Of course, some of it might be Stockholm Syndrome.
You spent nearly an hour fighting a boss, didn't you?
No, not an hour. More like 20 minutes. I didn't want to get chained.
I don't know what that means, and I don't want to.
Silly Poly Beast is an okay game. I don't see it being for everyone. I didn't find the story or characters engaging or relatable. Demon larvae, which explode when thrown, are just too difficult to use, and big bosses have strange hitboxes and are usually crapshoots for how to actually beat them. And I really hated the final chase part of the final boss. I don't know how anyone did it. I had to be very careful and move really slowly so this creature wouldn't insta-kill me. If it catches you, boop, dead. This took 4 times longer than it should have.
You should mention the endings.
There are 4. I don't know which is the true, real ending, but you can lock yourself out of the 2 more positive ones if you lose any of your demon parts via various means. Those means don't become available until the final 2 chapters though. It's just kind of uncool to immediately lock people out of better endings for making small, almost unavoidable mistakes that don't become apparent unless you look up what ramifications they have.
Sounds like a fun game.
I wanted it to be. I always have trouble talking about just okay games without repeating myself. Oh well, I would actually love to see an art book release detailing the works in this game though. That's gotta be some heavily interesting stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. That's right, folks. The reason it wasn't in our review mo is because James wanted to make a full review of it. He makes the rules, he breaks the rules.
I just feel like we had a lot more to say than we could put into a short form review like that.
Fine. But we're bringing Chris along for this one. He played most of your 80 hours with us.
That's fair. Now then, everybody ready?
Where's my couch?
Elden
Ring
Night Rain
is
and
extension
of
the
Elden
Ring.
narrative.
Stop. We can't review it like that.
Aww.
Elden Ring Night Rain is an extension of the Elden Ring narrative, or what little there was, into a spin-off that focuses on 8 members of something called the Round Table Hold as they attempt to fight off the Night Lord, which has been causing an inescapable, repeating night to occur every single, day, I think.
You'll take control of one of 8 of these round table buds, named the Nightfarers, 2 of which you unlock. Each of them has their own set of abilities, weapons they begin with, stats they're acclimated toward, and storylines you can follow, if you care, that can turn the tide of battle when used the most accurate way.
Not only can you take on these lengthy expeditions, you can strap 2 unwilling meat shields to your hip and jump in together, raid forts together,
Time to be cool! I don't know what that did.
kill giant gooey blobs together.
Andy, I watched you get slapped. Are you okay?
That is such a jump scare.
Yell at each other about what one of you was supposed to do while the other 2 were dead together.
I can try.
I'm gonna, Chris.
It has the look and feel of a Souls game, only this time, there's something to blame when you suck and die.
Save me, Double Nuts! Aw, shoot.
He immediately murdered me.
Well, that was fun.
Does anyone know if George R.R. Martin had anything to do with this game? The original game wore that involvement like a badge of honor, but I don't see his lipstick anywhere on this game's solid, hard, plastic surface.
The man locked himself in his room after what happened in Season 8 of his show. I have a feeling he doesn't want anything to do with a project that involves playing with others.
The gameplay of Night Rain is simple. Never stop. Don't pause. There's no time to do anything. If you're not killing or finding stone sword keys, there's no reason for your existence. Toss yourself into an open void now and pray a team member is nearby to revive you. There are two modes, run and kill. You're either running to your next kill or killing your next kill. No in between.
Fortunately, if you're well versed in the hundreds of hours, 3 Bibles, and DLC is essentially another campaign of Elden Ring, you'll do fine in the hellfields of Night Rain. If you're an unskilled, unknowledgeable beast who just wants to join on the fun, there are dozens upon hundreds upon thousands of video essays on what you're doing wrong when you pick your Nightfare, hidden abilities the game doesn't feel the need to tell you, and what the difference between the blessed and lightning icons are.
The blessed icon is just a little wispy circle with a beam. The lightning icon is a little wispy circle with a beam. And zippity zappities! There's a very clear difference when you're playing on a Tomlica 90-inch screen you're sitting literal inches from. Now, on to my tier list of every Nightfarer's feat. The Duchess.
Something to that effect will haunt every video essay you seek out, just trying to learn basic Night Rain etiquette.
I am a complete newcomer to the Elden Ring lore pile. I do not like Souls games, but I figured with James, a semi-knowledgeable Souls-like addict,
I'm gonna slap him real hard, a bunch.
and Chris, a big-time Belden brain-beating Battleborn big boy,
Talisman. Kill it, kill it, kill it.
dragging my mangled corpse from battle to battle, we'd have some fun between us.
Yeah, for potion.
He's still throwing stuff!
Andy's alliterative assumptions are almost correct. Some knowledge is absolutely required of a player prior to your spirit bird throwing you into limbo like some piece of lint about to fight a vacuum cleaner. The basic controls from Elden Ring return. Shoulder buttons for attacking, defending, guard counters. However, you don't need to seek ammunition this time. Every bow comes equipped with an infinite amount of arrows, bullets, or whatever the jar cannon uses. A significant upgrade from the original.
Speaking of significant upgrades from the original, fall damage doesn't exist. You can leap off everything without a care in the world. Sure, there's some bottomless pits you can't waltz into, but cliff to cliff, ledge to ledge, long ladder to ground, the jump, the fall, the landing, none of it kills you anymore.
Where's James?
He took the other path of the fork. Said he had something fun he wanted to do.
Do you mean?
There's a dragon down there.
Guys, I need a revive. Before we move on, I want to cover the 2 best improvements to this game that Elden Ring should have included in its original release. I'm going to have Chris and Andy read out what they are, then I'll explain.
The run button.
The run button! Night Rain has a dedicated run button. No more holding dodge after dodging to assume a post-dodge dash. Just click in R3 and you'll sprint faster than Torrent can carry you at top speed. Considering how many bosses play tag with the player, the run button replacing the stupid crouch is an immaculate change, but not as magnanimous as the
Dedicated heal button. Man, I'm surprised we could read that.
Is this his handwriting?
Yeah, it's like almost English, almost cursive.
It's like he was being tased.
Fuck both of you. Instead of having to anxiously scroll through a dozen items in your fucking inventory in the middle of a fight while you try and find healing between the throwables and consumables you've equipped, there's a dedicated heal button. Finally, FromSoft looked at the 64 buttons on the PS5's controller and realized one of them can heal you! You refill your flasks at every touch of grace and whenever one of your team members clears a group of enemies, and sometimes just because.
James is going to roll in heal button happiness while we move on.
Oh, yeah.
While Night Rain was advertised as a constantly changing environment that seemed to offer near infinite ways to experience the many horrors of the game, it's not. Limveld is a very static environment. The only things that change are the camp, ruin, mausoleum, beetle, and on-field boss locations. The weapons they drop also differ, but none of this has a tectonic variation in the areas you experience.
By fulfilling certain conditions and defeating a certain amount of Night Lords, you unlock 4 additional concoctions of Limveld's look and feel. The spicy one.
The volcano one.
The really, really cold one.
The ice mountain.
The Eternal City.
The Eternal City, oh.
And the one that hates you, poisons you, and wants you to melt from the inside out.
the Scarlet Rot one.
More typed enemies based on the environment active will be present, and the portending rain will usually push you closer to the epicenter of the affliction each of those environments will cause.
The game considers this lucky, however, as it also places a way to fight these afflictions near those epicenters as well. At least it does for the Scarlet Rot and Ice Mountain ones. There's powers you can acquire while hounded by a big scary monster that will improve your strength while suffering the rot or frostbite, or your ability to fight them. If you pick the wrong Night Lord to fight at the end, these powers will do nothing for you. Lucky you!
The 4 major environmental shifts appear to occur at random after playing through enough of the game, so ending up in the wrong one could power you up for the wrong type of battle, where you go to fight the scary dragon, the goat who yells, or 3 big pepperoni. And leaving a match prior to your team succeeding or dying incurs the heavy penalty of some kind. We never left matches. We went down with every team we play with, like real men.
While we're discussing Limveld and camps and powers, we haven't even said what you do in this game.
That's your fault.
You wrote this.
In Elden Ring Night Rain, you alone, you and 2 friends, or more recently, you and a single friend brave the vast land of Limveld to fight enemies, collect runes, and master weapons by holding them long enough. As time goes on, the rains will portend and draw the players toward an inner circle centered somewhere. This happens in 3 phases twice. The first phase, you can travel anywhere on the map. The second phase draws you into a circular area of the map. The final phase draws you in further to fight a boss of the day. Repeat once, then you take on a Night Lord as the day 3 fight.
To reach days 2 and 3, you must contend with a boss of that day. Depending on the day 3 Night Lord you picked, certain bosses will appear as your day 1 and 2 fights. As you and your meat shields, or friends, enter the final circle of the day, a horde of enemies will appear. This is the preamble to the day boss. If you play enough of the game, the horde will denote the boss and how screwed you are for that fight.
As you run around Limveld with no way to effectively communicate with any of your teammates, you'll find glowing bugs that have accessories in them, treasure chests full of items and weapons, groups of enemies full of blood and runes, and sites of grace full of hope and leveling up. Stop at the lattermost and repeatedly mash triangle to level yourself up using runes if you have enough. The only other reason to save runes is to buy weapons or smithing stones from merchants, but finding those is never all that difficult.
You'll also come across on-field boss-type fights. These vary in strength from enemies to great enemies and will usually drop weapons and powers. Gray is common, blue is uncommon, purple is rare, and gold is very rare. Powers offer every player some upgrade to their abilities in the form of new ways for guard counters to function, weapons, extra inventory slots, accessories, flask upgrades and changes, and more. Collect as many of these as your inventory allows. It's another set of menus to mash triangle through so you can keep being an effective team member.
If you were worried running around Limveld was getting boring or wasn't annoying enough, you can follow each of the Nightfarer's story bits.
Story Bits! Now in 8 bold flavors. Story Bits.
Going to this book will allow you to begin one memory at a time for a single character. Completing these is usually simple and involves finding and fighting something in Limveld while powering up to take down a certain Night Lord.
Focus your faves to earn meal upgrades, and eventually an outfit. Or don't. You only really earn character-specific relics between their beginning and final chapters.
Oh no, we forgot about relics!
Please don't make us talk about how progression-shattering scrolling the relic menu is. Please don't make us discuss how you can only equip 3 of the billions you have, earn 32 for completing a Night Lord fight, and most of them are completely useless in your inventory. Don't you dare make us remember the chalices that command what color each of your equipped relic is allowed to be.
Okay, I won't.
Thank you.
The 3 of us had stopped playing this game around September time. I stopped playing earlier, and I championed that. Chris and James stopped later for one reason or another.
I was having fun with the game.
I was having fun with the game. I mean, James begged me to play with him.
Souls games are not my jam, and Night Rain presents one huge problem to me: how obstructively serious it is. What sort of sensations do you tend to associate with multiplayer games?
Silliness.
Laughter.
Yeah, Night Rain...
Stupidity.
Alright.
Camaraderie.
Correct! Ugh. Night Rain doesn't facilitate that. It does offer much faster mobility and simplifies a lot of character building aspects, such as leveling up and weapon management. What that ends up meaning, though, is that the optimal way to play the game is to go fast, go fast, go fast. Don't think, don't read, mash buttons where possible, hoard strong passives, ignore weak enemies, collect runes, scoop accessories, the blue fire's closing in, there's no time! The little room for error is because it's a Souls game, and the response to our complaints will be, get good. We are aware. But the thing is, this is a multiplayer game that enforces cooperation. I tricked myself into thinking this was going to be a more casual experience.
For a Souls-like novice, I can see why you were under that delusion.
Oh, he should try original flavor Elden Ring.
Guys, shut up! I'm trying to do the wrap-up here. Don't you want to be done with this game as much as I do?
Fine, it has hogged enough of our lives already.
I might go back in.
Andy, finish it quickly.
Okay. This is an enforced cooperative experience I tricked myself into thinking was going to be more casual, especially with the pre-built characters and no fall damage. Less to worry about, right? When I play Night Rain, no matter the combination of friends and randos, I end up just exchanging blame between myself, the other players, and FromSoft for not enabling more communication. I don't have enough fun to justify another 40-minute long run.
Okay, check the thing.
Didn't work.
Shit! Try it again.
Nope.
God damn it! Wait, check it now!
Oh!
I think we did it!
Apparently that action would have saved the Earth for another 3 minutes and 4 seconds.
Andy, I don't think we're going to be able to save the planet from the horrible demise this giant looking glass is revealing the future holds for us.
I can think of one thing.
You don't mean?
It's worth a shot.
Our review mo, where we review more games than anyone has the chunks, the blood, and the rocks to review at once.
It's just every game we played a significant portion of or beaten, played that came out between when we released our other one of these earlier this year and now, and that we haven't reviewed separately. Is it really that many games?
Oh, you haven't seen the list yet, have you?
No. I like walking in blind and praying you know what you're doing after nearly a decade of review mo.
That's a mistake. Now let's begin.
Ah, look. Another roguelike! Is it any shock these occupy more than half of this list? It shouldn't, because at this point, if it's not a roguelike, it's not a game. Anyway, House of Necrosis is a horror survival roguelike that takes inspiration from the Resident Evil games of old, complete with creepy ambiance, blocky character design, pre-rendered backgrounds, and tank controls.
I've never played a game where this is your main method of controlling your character, but it's one more thing that I thank the Lord is not the standard for how games control now. This is abysmal and confusing and awful. Thank God it's only one of the ways you control your character.
The meat of the game is you as, we'll call her Clara Bluemeadow, going into various environments to stab, smack, and shoot enemies to get to the boss of those areas. You'll collect weapons and serums along the way. Control in here functions on a turn-based grid system. Every movement is a turn, and everything moves when you move. Everything moves when you swipe your weapons in the wrong directions too, James.
Yes, I know!
This all sounds kind of fun, but not when you consider there is no meta progression. There's no carryover to future runs as you level up, collect weapons, and realize the first 4 floors are the only parts of your run where any real healing materials can be found. Quick word of advice, buy a rescue crystal before each run. Do it and sell what you have to. They'll bring you back to a safe room at any point during your run, provided you have 3 turns to waste so it can take effect. You'll keep your weapons, money, and everything else.
At one point, I found a hammer that was powerful, a vest that absorbed damage, and a shotgun that did who knows what. Trouble is, I found myself in a battle with a boss with abilities I both couldn't see or predict because your field of view is shockingly tiny.
And dark.
Fucking dark. This is how I learned 3 things. The Reaper boss in the crypt kills you in 2 hits, auto-saving is a thing in this game, and I am absolutely fucking done playing it. The tank controls were bad enough, but losing every single thing to a boss I can't see with attacks that span nearly the entire floor while I have no defense is indefensible. The game's nearly vertical difficulty curve and the fact autosaving is there to fuck you when you die took me right out of the game. I'm uninstalling it as we speak. This thing needs some balance patches.
Highly doubt you played a significant portion of this, but sure, I'll allow you your time.
Thank you. I'm not here to slander Silksong in any way. Sure, it's been a 7-year wait for a mediocre Metroidvania that doesn't do anything new, revolutionary, or even all that interesting. But that's not what I'm here for. Silksong is the perfect example of one thing in gaming. Easy modes should be available in every video game. Silksong is a hard fucking game. No enemy takes less than 3 hits to kill, and deals no less than 2 damage per hit. Even the pissant enemies get their licks in when you least expect it. That's dumb, and there should be ways to tone that down. I would love to experience this game, but the skills required are simply too much for me. Get good shouldn't be the only answer everyone yells at me like it's the answer to the universe. Let me turn down damage, turn up attack power, something to let me experience your 7-year late game. The space has evolved in 7 years, and many much better Metroidvanias have taken over while Silksong took its sweet time. We will continue to judge long-term development cycles for taking the wrong lessons from games made during dev time, and Silksong is now among them.
I'm sure if you wait a year, someone will make a mod for it like they did for Hades. Remember that? You really like that.
That's actually one of the major reasons I want to play Silksong again in like a year or two. There's definitely someone out there working on an easy mod, and I very much praise their ability to stand against the storm of people who will argue this game needs no adjustments. Spiritfall had it right with their difficulty settings. That game really changed my opinion on games in general.
Speaking of Spiritfall, Nehru's Nightgown. This again? We reviewed the early access, we reviewed the full game, and we're here again with Spiritfall?
I get your meaning, but it came out on the Switch this year. Not only that, it has improved further. Beyond the thoughts expressed in a review of the full game way back when, the game has been updated with more NPCs to talk to, and boss rush and break the targets modes. Honestly, it leaned a bit further towards Smash Brothers, and that's a great thing. I feel like this is the last time we'll be talking about this game.
Did this game chain itself to your fingers, James? I see you miming playing it right now as we're recording this.
Shut up! It's fun. It's still fun. Even after playing it again on the Switch and unlocking as much as I can, I still find myself excited to go back to it. I highly recommend it for anyone looking for a roguelite like-alike with Smash elements that you wish went a little further. I hope Gentle Giant makes another one of these with a stronger Smash influence. Hell, talk to the rivals of Aether Peeps and make something spectacular by mashing ideas together.
You should check out our full review of the game. The link is right there in the description. Look at it. Isn't it nice? Alright, we can move on. Ah, finally, the two things James can't live without. Roguelite like-alikes and gambling.
But Andy, this one is actually different from the rest. Slots and Daggers is a game that takes place entirely in a bar. At least to me.
What?
I have a theory about this game. As you play, there's background noise that is very attuned to an ambiance of a crowded restaurant or bar. Like a lone pinball machine with strangers that gather around and celebrate your victories over various monsters and mega crit hits. I found that so cool. In addition to general chilled out music, there's dishes clinking, nonsensical orders being called out, and general restaurant noise. It's very cool.
Now even imaginary people can judge your gambling addiction.
In Slots and Daggers, you spin slots to execute attacks, defensive actions, spells, healing, and more via skill check. Every battle will earn you coins, which you spend between fights to earn more slot icons, stronger slot icons, new accessories that alter how often and how strong your slot icons are, and more. After about 5 to 6 battles, you'll take on the boss of the area. Then you'll move to the next area and do it again with stronger enemies and different varieties of things available from the shop. If you die, you're sent back to the title screen having earned poker chips. These will buy modifiers in the modifier shop that will alter runs, increase your HP or attack, and up the amount of slots you can spin from 3 to 5.
Why in Nehru's Blue Oceans do you have so many chips?
A bug happened a few days post-release that gifted some people an absolutely inconceivable amount of chips. I bought every modifier I didn't have yet and beat the game, which unlocks Arena Mode.
So this is a roguelite like-alike with an end?
Yes! It's one of the reasons I love it so much. There's an actual true ending to the game. Then Arena Mode happens, you can fight different versions of egg-type creatures which get more fun and more terrifying every fight. I highly recommend Slots and Daggers.
I find it both comical and deeply upsetting that this is by far the best Mario Party game on the Nintendo Switch, and so far the Switch 2 as well. Don't you?
Lego Party is Mario Party with a fresh Lego branded bedsheet haphazardly thrown over the entire thing. You travel boards with spaces on them that make things happen, you play minigames to determine turn order, and you collect golden bricks to determine who wins after a set number of turns. There's a grand total of 60 minigames in the whole deal that fit into 2 categories.
48 free-for-all, 12 team. Fortunately, it's rare you'll see doubles in a full game because you and the other players vote on which one to play. There are 3 known choices and a random one that will pick out of the others that didn't appear. Unfortunately, there are only 3 or 4 that will excite you and actually work.
Every minigame in which you control a vehicle, specifically a rocket, control like shit. There's very little recourse for mistakes, movement often feels too floaty and not at all precise. I guess that lends to the hilarity of the game itself, making mistakes with your friends nearby, but we here at G2D play to win. Mistakes cost time.
Boards are rather unbalanced as well. If we look at the theme park map, there's no reason to engage with the attractions you can build. Circling the center, where Mr. Gold the Gold Brick Seller is, will cost you the least time and earn you the most bricks. Looking at the Ninjago map, there's only one shop, only one thief space, and only one trap space. The trap is a space in front of the thief space, so there's never a point to travel that way because you'll lose anything you'd gain from stealing.
Overall, Lego Party is okay. Certainly a good first time through as you learn what does and definitely does not work, but it's hard to go back to, even if it is, again, the best Mario Party game on the system at the moment. I think the only thing that broke my attention to this game, the addiction I had to spinning slots, equipping trinkets, and fulfilling money-based deadlines before I fall and die, is the fact I fell fully asleep while playing on the couch.
He was out cold and somehow still spinning slots. Must have been gambling in his dreams.
That's hilarious.
It can be funny as well as a sign that something should probably change.
This game hogged nearly every free moment I had for quite a while. You are jailed and forced to gamble for your freedom. But as you can probably guess, the deadlines for the amount of money you have to acquire in 3 rounds of spins continues to grow, eventually to unimaginable levels, which will inevitably lead to failure. But there is an escape. I just don't know what it is. It has something to do with the limb parts you can equip and find, I think. Anyway, as you spin and play, you can increase certain factors to help you gain cash, including symbol multipliers, pattern multipliers, and your luck stat.
Stop. How do you measure luck?
Oh, luck is an invisible stat in this game you can alter with trinkets and phone abilities. If you spin with over 15 luck, you're guaranteed a jackpot. So it's invisible, but you can actively measure and keep track of it. And that's the delicious taste you seek in Clover Pit. That luck high you can ever so rarely strike. Anyway, game good, game hard, game violent, but most of all, game fun. When this was revealed, I hailed it as my reason to own a Switch 2. I resisted for as long as I could, waiting for deals and sales. Unfortunately, I only waited a month. Then with the help of my family, did acquire a Switch 2 along with Bonanza.
In DKB, you play as DK, who has rated his hands E for everything. You'll exercise his complete fisting freedom by punching everything in sight. Rock formations, the ground, enemies, piles of gold, rocks, boulders, nearly everything in this game will submit to DK's accosting appendages. Of course, there's a story wrapped around this world, built for someone like James, which follows a teenage Pauline being nervous about singing in front of people or some stuff. It's really uninteresting and falls apart when she learns to sing in front of people in order to transform DK into various animals to power up his punches, let him destroy things faster, and a snake. The snake is useless. Now, back to James, having an internal crisis about his reasons for owning this system falling apart. Back to you, James.
Bonanza is just okay. It's so aggressively and powerfully okay. I don't regret my purchase because I like to punch things, but the game dragged on for fucking ever. The final boss is really dumb and sacrificed interesting characters for fan service. I wanted to like this game, but it takes forever to finish, and it doesn't really evolve as you spend hours collecting bananas. It's not necessarily a boring game, but this is definitely not the system seller. Fun as it is, I recommend finding a game store of some kind with this demo in its kiosk. You'll experience all the evolution this game has to offer in all 10 of the minutes the demo lets you have.
Oh, come on. There isn't one absolutely gold moment you have to share with us, James?
This moment right here. Didn't make the game's length worth it, but damn it was satisfying. It's the sport of kings, but gacha and all the horses are anime girls. Dozens of currencies, hundreds of bits of UI, and positively grotesque RNG have caused me to uninstall this and forget it existed until this very moment.
Well, this looks pretty.
Pretty difficult. Dragon Blazers is an old-school looking side-scrolling platform and beat-em-up game styled to look like anime from the 90s. A look at nails pretty well. You'll pick one of 3 characters to beat enemies with using various inputs. I'm not sure what all the combos are because I'm not a fighting game aficionado, but it does seem like there are more inputs than the cardinal directions plus attack.
The story follows the character you chose fighting beasts and dodging flying dog collars as they face down an evil cyber ninja army who are ruining your beautiful world. There isn't much more beyond that as far as story. I'm not even sure there's much more for gameplay either.
There isn't. This is an arcade game, so it's meant to be short, played through multiple times to get the best time and score you can, and controller crunching difficult. Because it's arcade styled, this game is hard as hell, bosses are complete bull plonk, and I eventually ran out of steam trying to fight each boss over and over. I hope this developer's next game has a longer, more important story, or at least checkpoints in it. Finally, the giant sword game is out and in my hands. Gaiga Sword is a Kickstarter adventure game where you play as Ezra, a human with the ability to carry around a sword as big as he is. Every movement he makes expresses the immense weight of his blade as he drags it along when he runs, takes forever to attack, and becomes absolutely fucking useless without it.
As Ezra, you must ascend a tower, the top of which holds a power that was secluded from human hands for good reason, which made the humans mad. They then hatched a plan to force themselves inside the tower, kill the bird people within, and become horrifying monsters when the power became too much for them. That last part wasn't in their plan, but That's what happens. Now Ezra's gotta ascend while fighting off very mutated red, blue, and purple creatures to stop them from corrupting the power and the world further.
Giga Sword is a difficult game, not only because attacking takes a while due to the weight of the sword, or the powers that are introduced incrementally, or the maps that take a very long time to traverse. Not even because the game launched without and still does not contain fast travel. Baffling decision. Simply baffling, I cannot get over that. But because of how completely useless Ezra is without the sword. He can't fight, he can't use magic, he can't even heal himself without his precious sword.
He can jump higher and slide into crevices, so that's something.
Yeah, but every puzzle in the game is built to bring Ezra and his sword together. I don't understand why he wasn't given an ability he can use outside his sword. There are large sections of exploration where you are just at the will of every projectile and suddenly appearing enemy while you run to the spot where the game decided your sword should be. I haven't completed this game, but I am a grand portion of the way through, and I am appalled at how often I have to leave my sword somewhere, then dodge through droves of enemies just so I can bring my sword to me again. It's so frustrating. I cannot recommend this game in its current state. It needs fast travel. It needs something Ezra can do without his sword. He survived for 10 years on the streets of whatever village. He had to learn to throw rocks or something. He shouldn't be as useless as he is.
I call bull feculence. No way you, of all people, played a significant portion of this.
If you'll give me a minute to let Chris in, who's been playing this game since it launched in early access, he'll review this one.
Should have brought it in before I yelled at you.
I thought you'd, make a joke, not just be you.
Thanks.
Chris, the floor is yours.
Finally, I've been waiting outside for days to talk about this. Hades is the one quality gift that the 20s has bestowed upon us. When I first attempted to crawl out of the underworld at a demo at PAX West for so long that the kindly kiosk operator asked me to die so others could have a chance to play, I knew this would be the game of the decade. How do you possibly improve upon something like that? You stack more cake on the cake and give me a bigger fork. There is no saving me. Bury me in cake. Hades 2 knows the assignment and performs exactly as instructed. More electrifying art, more broken weapon and element combos, and the earned confidence it takes to make a game strut. You play as Melinoway, daughter of Hades. She's been displaced from her family, just as they had been mending their relationship after the events of the original Hades. Scattered to the wind by the Titan of Time, Kronos, Melinoway has been taken in by a coven of hidden deities, joined in an effort to end his chronal shenanigans. So, you're a young god, dungeon crawling your way to your oppressive elder, aided by your extended family's borrowed abilities. Sound familiar? Don't worry, Hades 2 saw you digging your way into Tartarus and figured out there's a whole other second direction you can go in now.
Upwards!
That's right, the ground is no longer the ceiling. You can now choose to go climbing through the surface realms all the way up to Mount Olympus. If that's not enough, here's a boss that sings their own theme song. What else could you ask for? I jumped into early access, telling myself that I'd only do a single run and leave the rest of the mysteries locked away for the full release, no matter how long it would take to craft this new masterpiece. 50 hours later, I had already exhausted all bosses, weapon selections, and character dialogue options available at the time. I had to randomize my Steam password just to keep from jumping back in whenever a new segment was produced for Supergiant's one and only direct sequel. Fast forward nearly 2 years, and they delivered all I could have asked for. The one weakness that I could nitpick would be the ending. No spoilers, but the post-launch events that unfold I felt robbed some agency of the characters and erased a lot of that narrative momentum that had built up over the hundreds of ventures above and below the ground. I heard that patches have been released to recontextualize and extend certain segments in that last stretch of scenes, but I'm already 250 hours deep, and my roguelike anonymous group is urging me to bathe again.
I've been following this game's development for a number of years, and I have to express my absolute elation that I can play it on the Switch. You play as 3 explorers who are members of a race of aliens known as Iols, who crash land on Earth and now must perform recon missions, quickly, as a team!
A quick group research of sorts.
They'll transform into enemies and objects, solve puzzles, and fight off future friends in this very calming adventure. This is possibly one of the most chilled out platformers I've ever played.
Each level has 3 medals to earn. 1 for collecting a certain amount of scrap, which objects and enemies drop, 1 for finding all the secret gift items, and 1 for not dying, which can offer some measure of challenge. Most levels will require more than 1 playthrough.
Which brings me to how absolutely boring this game is. But in this case, boring is not a bad thing. The aesthetic and energy of this game is chilled and cozy, and it puts me to sleep. Again, not a bad thing, but I can't play this game for more than 20 minutes. This is a perfectly okay game with very little challenge and overall fine platforming. It's just a little too mundane for me. Before this one begins, I have to call out the writer. There's a male character in here named Billy, who uses every female character as the butt of some joke. Everything out of his mouth is vitriol. He is an abhorrent element of this game that should have been cut out in the early drafts. While I will applaud the fact he gets seriously injured, I cannot forgive the character for how he acts, how he talks, and his story arc, if you can call it that. Terrible character, terrible decision.
Okay. Artist Impact is a turn-based RPG where you, as Akane and a small group of survivors, aim to fight off the AI horde. So, this is a vision of the future. Humans built AI, AI built more AI, that AI built more AI. It began killing everyone, but realized at some point that if it killed everyone, advancement of its own intelligence would cease. So it created Learning AI to gather as much information on and follow around humans.
The presentation and animation in this game are some of the best you'll see. Full stop. I love the cutscenes and how they flow like a living manga. I adore the conversations and interactions between Akane and her learning AI that follows her around, Bot. I even enjoyed the battle system, which I broke early on, then again at the very end. Although, I have no idea what the point of any part of the story was. It all seemed entirely pointless and open-ended, with very long gaps in time between what you get to see or play. Honestly, Artist Impact is a game with some very good aspects that is held down by a million little problems, like paying for save spots. Why? Why does any game make you pay to save your game? Oh, there's also the job system. That doesn't work very well and it takes forever to fire off something that even looks like progress.
I noticed during the final boss fight with this chunk of something, you eventually just stopped taking damage.
I fought this thing for an hour. Enemies and bosses couldn't stand more than a single slice of my sword, but this thing had some sort of ability that caused it to take absolutely forever to kill. Not sure what I did, but this shouldn't have taken that long. Overall, I wanted to like this game, with its presentation and animation being so beautiful, but there isn't much past that to recommend.
Ow!
Ever feel like going back to basics? A time before bloated rosters, echo fighters, unlockables, and terrible character selection screens? Then a few quick matches is for you!
This is a platform fighter for 1 to 4 players where CPUs can fill in gaps. At launch, there were only 3 playable differently costumed stickmen, with a 4th added in a later patch. I found that odd for a 4-player game to only have 3 characters. Anyway, that's it. No additional modes, no complicated backstories, no faff. Just boot up the game for, as the game implies, a few quick matches.
I don't see anything wrong with that. It's built for offensive movement, so player and ledge grabs are not possible, and no shielding. So if you play, prepare to pummel and be pummeled.
Each stickman is unique and has their own names, strengths, weaknesses, and the entire game controls as tightly as one would hope.
I really wanted to like this game. I want to hail it as the party game to play like we do the original, which is enshrined in our home.
On a shelf with everything else.
Point still stands. The hype of a sequel to a 22-year-old incredible game on an awesome system should be exactly what the Switch 2 needs to invigorate excitement in the next generation of Nintendo games, right?
You would think so.
Well, it missed on almost every factor it possibly could. Gameplay is updated to be entirely too fast, with slow mode acting as an overcorrection rather than an option to actually slow gameplay to an understandable level. There are many crags in the map that will halt you for absolutely no reason, even though your cars aren't even riding on the ground most of the time. Characters have wildly ineffective special moves for whatever situation you find them in. The combo meter for picking up items is completely useless. Hunting pieces of legendary machines is straight up pointless because they can appear in any box. RNG factors will prevent actual progress on the all-important checklists, and you can't even use the free checkboxes on certain boxes. That's ridiculous. And finally, the game encourages pursuing other players. As players attack each other, victims lose power-ups to aggressors, if you can catch them. One thing that really irks me is the fact you can steal other players' cars. They have to be battered enough with lasers, bombs, and copy abilities, but when you get it, it's fully healed? How does that make any fucking sense?
Also, the menus are positively abysmal. I'm not sure who designed these, but they're confusing, there's simply too many, and half of them contain no actual information.
Final nail in the coffin. The individual sounds for picking up power-up patches are now generic single jingles no matter which one you grab. What a disappointment from nearly all angles, even though it was supposed to be our reason to recommend the Switch 2. Oh well, one more game we can say, I'd wait for another 2. Look everyone, Andy gets to talk for a while!
I tried to temper my expectations after Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated didn't live up to the original, and then Cosmic Shake was pretty rocky throughout. But if Titans of the Tide is the destination, then the SpongeBob 3D platformer journey was well worth it. Titans of the Tide kicks off with Neptune and the Flying Dutchman getting into an argument at the Krusty Krab, and their combined supernatural powers tear the fabric of reality asunder. Caught in the middle, SpongeBob and Patrick are paranormally linked, with only one being playable at a time while the other hovers around as a ghost. With the press of a button, the two two can swap at any time and make use of their individual abilities. You'll find yourself rapidly oscillating between SpongeBob and Patrick to navigate needlepoint platforming, wave after wave of aggressive ghosts, and hopscotching around little references to various eras of the show. Look, Mindy's here! Truly, I was just so surprised at how well done Titans of the Tide is. SpongeBob and Patrick's abilities are gradually unlocked and accelerated over the course of the game, and areas often have exclusive toys to mess with to make them more memorable. Swapping between the two characters always keeps you on your toes in the middle of the action, and you're never out of options while fighting ghosts. And for anyone in the audience who played this game, did you notice the music changes depending on who you're playing as? Patrick has these low droning brass tones, while SpongeBob has higher whistling and twinkles. Titans of the Tide also makes sure to improve where its prequels failed. Side quests are now integrated directly into the level design and progress, rather than requiring full replays. There's meaty side challenges to push your skills to the limit, and the endgame reward is good. I'm talking Kirby Amazing Mirror or Squeak Squad good. I got the game on PS5, dodging yet another game keycard, and like with Astrobot last year, turning on and using a PS5 requires quite the reward at the end. Titans of the Tide is well worth that bother, and it's short too, a nice and short game worth every penny at $40. There's simply no reason to not pick up Titans of the Tide. Let's get right to it. Shantae Advance Risky Revolution is the latest game in the Shantae series. It is also the second game in the series that, in total, consists of 6 games. That's because Risky Revolution was originally meant to release in the mid-2000s on the GBA before being shelved, hence the advance in the title. This causes the overall product to exist in a strange limbo state, wherein it's held back by the limitations of the GBA while also being scrutinized by today's standards. To be clear, I've played the game on both the intended GBA hardware and the port to Switch. Though there are differences, such as high-definition artwork and costumes, the grand experience is the same. So how is that grand experience? It's pretty dull. The Shantae staples are all here: cute character designs, hair-whipping platforming, magical transformations, and chuckle-inducing dialogue. The primary change is the tremor switch, which causes the layers of the world to be spun and swapped around. In the main levels, you can activate the engine and shift the background relative to the foreground, causing different areas to be visible and accessible. In the towns, the main quests for progress are solved by shifting things back to where they belong. Though this sounds interesting on paper, all this swapping only works as a binary switch. You can only do or undo. The most interesting level design and combat occurs in the dungeons, but they don't use the swapping mechanic. They focus on Shantae's transformations. The dungeons are good and clean, right up there with the rest of the series. Unfortunately though, the whole game lacks any sort of map. Where this ends up being most impactful is figuring out which cave entrance you've already explored, since they all look identical and switch spots via the tremor switch. Oh, and I guess I should mention that this is the first Shantae game to include any sort of multiplayer. It's a 4-player battle mode with an arena that rotates periodically. This really intrigued me at first, because it actually does use the GBA link cable, but upon playing it, I found it's really unbalanced and slow. Players can only be eliminated by getting knocked into hazards, but it's incredibly easy to get juggled, so you get hit once, and you might as well set your controller down. Risky Revolution ends up not fully exploring any of its present ideas or gimmicks, instead borrowing advancements that came later in the series. For example, Shantae's transformations are tied to instant button presses rather than rhythmic timing. That change wouldn't come until 7 Sirens, but for the things that Risky Revolution exclusively has, such as the tremor switch and the multiplayer, they end up feeling like things that would end up eventually inspiring an indie dev, had they actually released 20 years ago. Kinda like how Mutant Mudds was inspired by Virtual Boy Wario Land. This right here is that awkward limbo state I mentioned earlier, where Risky Revolution exists in 2 time periods at once. It's small and short, as one would expect for a GBA game, but it having been released this year on modern platforms causes it to always require that asterisk.
Boy, after LEGO Party, I hope you're all eager to hear about another LEGO game in our arsenal. One that sacrifices imagination, creativity, and general fun for LEGO Voyagers, a linear story-centric game about a red brick and a blue brick as one of them tries to go to space or something. You and your forced co-op partner will roll along different environments, sticking and unsticking blocks to yourself to get across gaps and fix stuff.
It is pretty cool to see your little brick's collision and control get adjusted based on the Katamari-like brick gathering. Elsewise, the 2 bricks roll around giant empty environments free of conflict and strife, piloting vehicles and solving puzzles.
While the game has very little to recommend and is reminiscent of games like Split Fiction, and you know how we felt about that one, it is also very short. In about 2 to 3 hours, your little bricks will have completed their story, and you'll wonder why you spent
$25
on such pathetically little content. Hailing from a time of antiquated Metroidvania design decisions and confusing sense of humor, we got this game's prequel, Gal Guardian's Demon Purge. It had poor control, didn't incentivize 100% completion, and was overall a poor game. This game, Gal Guardian Servants of the Dark, looks at the modern Metroidvania designs and is better controlled, with more to find to do, and absolutely incentivizes 100% completion. As such, out of pure coincidence, this is a much better game.
We've tested a few of these in the past, mostly through mods, but we can now confirm that a co-op Castlevania adjacent experience can work, and that only excites us for when Scarlet Engagement releases.
One thing that really stood out in the sequel is how they differentiated the two protagonists further. They each have their own inventory of special abilities they can equip instead of sharing a huge pool that cross-contaminates. The map is much better this time, making it much easier to find and complete side quests. The combat is much better controlled and animated, making playing the game and completing those side quests much more worth it.
The whole experience is one that should stand tall among its genre. Maybe it won't have the dark and serious lore that people hope to find nowadays, but I'm all for the lighthearted dialogue and silly outfits. I'm also quite thankful that our Switch copy, having been made for the Asian region, works perfectly fine in English. Region-free games on region-free systems are a true positive.
Pac-Man platformers were never a part of our childhood, so we didn't know what to expect when the remasters came out. What we got was another avenue through which an iconic character jumps on platforms, collects currency, and defeats enemies via kicking. Pac-Man World 2 Repack is an overall fine game with low-level challenges and one serious hang-up.
If you miss a collectible in a level, you have to start the whole level over. Checkpoints will only delay your goal of 100% completion because there are sections of levels walled off by running sequences or other insurmountable cliffs. Then you get to play it all again. Lucky you! Player 2, because this is a co-op game, takes the form of a drone that can shoot pellets at things and defeat enemies.
It's just a little more helpful than being a hat.
Also, this remaster apparently changed a lot. It was only after we'd looked online that we were able to appreciate that the originals are significantly different than the modern versions. Still though, we find ourselves wishing a bit more had changed.
Do you all wish you had more RoboCop Rogue City? More shooting, with more guns, with more punching people through walls, all without that pesky police work you would get to do that would introduce and deepen character plots and storylines that would get in the way of shooting and punching? Well then Unfinished Business is the standalone expansion for you. The story follows a tower OCP built for the citizens of Detroit that could no longer afford housing that is then taken over by someone from RoboCop's past.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I appreciate the further expansion of the RoboCop lore. It's cool, but I wish they could use characters from the movies because these game-specific characters will never come back again. They'd have more impact if they weren't just loosely related to characters from the films. But I digress. The game is fun. Not as fun as original Flavor Rogue City because I miss getting to know people you solve crimes with and for. It made the last 2 hours of the game way more impactful because actual stakes were at stake. Although this game is definitely higher risk because the main villain gets his hands dirty this time. At one point he gasses an entire floor full of people to prove a point to RoboCop, and it's awful. It makes me hate him. That's something I didn't see coming that had an impact. Overall, this game is good. More of Rogue City's action-oriented gameplay, and there's nothing wrong with that. But getting to explore the tower more would have been another positive bit about it.
In a rare event we've never gotten to experience, this is the second Tales of remaster from this year we get to put into one of these shows. This time it's a remaster of the 2013 Tales of Xillia. This remakester port lacks its sequel Xillia 2, even though both games were on the same system, came out a year apart, and shared data between them. So some functionality was left behind.
Similar to Grace's F's remaster, Xillia gets the grade shot before you start any playthrough, which means more playing with your starting abilities, experience gains, and difficulty modes, leading to a much more casual-friendly experience that makes 100% playthroughs a lot more appetizing. In addition to the standard from Grace's F Remastered onward, such as side quest markers on maps, a faster sprint, and subtitles.
Unfortunately, this remaster is less like Grace's F's and more like Symphonia's, as the porting job is lackluster. We bought the Switch version of Xillia Remastered and played it on Switch 2, which caused some issues in the experience, such as T-posing characters, frame rate dips, and a couple crashes. When we switched to the, well, Switch, we received a much different experience. The game is nearly unplayable on original Flavor Switch, with frames dipping further, inputs not reading, and effects not rendering correctly.
Also, if you're considering getting this game because of the dual story between Jude and/or Mila, play Jude's story. Mila's story ends up being broken with huge chunks missing and unimpressive presentation. Jude's is more emotional, stronger, and better told.
The Lilium Orb offering very little in terms of character building, and giant, absolutely barren field environments are problems too. The only real shining piece of this game is the story, which had some jaw-dropping moments. The battle system is more contrived this time, with much less to offer for rewards. With this having released the same year as Grace's F's remaster, we recommend picking that up instead of this. The value is higher, the game is better, and it runs much more smoothly on the Switch. So this is a bit weird. Literally only I will care about this, but I'm the one who's talking, so I'm going to talk about what I care about. This right here is the Nintendo e-reader. It works by scanning dot codes printed on the side of cards, sort of like a barcode reader, and interpreting that raw data in numerous ways. The e-reader is probably most famous for being used in games like Mario Bros. 3 and Animal Crossing, but it can also be used to play games all on its own, and that's why these were made. These are brand new, released this year, e-reader cards. An entire booster pack of cards from Retro Dot Cards. 9 cards gives you 5 games. Exo Attack, a shoot 'em up, Franny Answers, which is effectively a Magic 8-ball, and GBA recreations of Solitaire, Snake, and Minesweeper. The last card is an achievement tracker. Although the total collection might come across as a simple programming exercise, there's a lot of love poured into these little games. Each game has their own graphics, little touches, and Easter eggs. There's also extraneous bits that I, for one, would have never thought to include, such as leaderboards that work via code submission. It's just like when you'd submit your high score to a magazine. The e-reader's unique format allows various tricks to be taken advantage of, such as scanning the second Snake card while playing Exo Attack. Of course, that does also mean sitting down to play these games requires the entire ceremony of using an e-reader, which can be a bit finicky. It's a lot of pomp, considering the circumstances. You might notice this pack is labeled Series 1. If you stop by Retro.Card's site, you'll see Series 2 is upcoming. And it's Picross themed, link in the description, and if you look closely, you can see me vibrating with glee. There are few things in this world designed specifically with me in mind. Red sweatshirts, silence, effigies built to honor Shantae's huge, bulbous adventures, but this right here is one such thing.
Okay, I admit that was more games than even I really thought we could play in 6 months.
You both constantly overestimate and underestimate the amount of time we have to do things, James. I feel like a planner would really help you.
Is this you subtly telling me that late Christmas present is a fancy planner I don't plan to use?
No. Who would get you something to improve your life, time management skills, and overall mental health? Not me. Anyway, now that we've reviewed the games, it's time to give out some awards to those games. Those awards include our versions of Best, Worst, and Okayest of 2025, in addition to 4 extra awards we like to mix in.
The Curly Fries Award.
The Buddy Buddy Award.
The SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide Award.
I like that one. And finally, the Worst Game Mechanic Award.
I hate that one. Now that you got a good look at the awards, it's time we go through which games are up to receive them. Check them out.
AI Limit.
Atelier Yumia, Alchemist of Memories in the Envisioned Land.
Cuisineer.
Elden Ring Night Rain.
Everhood 2.
Gex Trilogy.
Nights in Tight Spaces.
Mario Kart World.
Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo.
Split Fiction.
Suikoden 1 and 2 Remaster.
Tales of Grace's F Remastered.
Wings of Endless.
Ys Memoir Oath and Felghana.
A Few Quick Matches.
Artist Impact.
Ball X Pit.
Clover Pit.
Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Dragon Blazers.
Gal Guardians, Servants of the Dark.
Gyga Sword.
Hades 2.
Hollow Knight Silk Song.
House of Necrosis.
Hyper Team Recon.
Kirby Air Riders.
Lego Party.
Lego Voyagers.
Pac-Man World 2 Repack.
Quartet.
RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business.
Shantae Advance, Risky Revolution.
Shrine's Legacy.
Silly Polly Beast.
Slots and Daggers.
Spiritfall.
SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide.
Tales of Xillia Remastered.
Pretty derby.
Good enough. Retro Dot Series 1 e-reader cards.
Now that we know the games and awards, it's time to start giving them out. Let's start at the bottom with our Worst Game of the Year awards.
Despite what reviewers and sales numbers of the time would tell you, Kirby Air Ride is an incredible game. Enshrined in this household it will be, preserved for future generations, so that they may rediscover the definition of fun when Mario Party has another dark era of consecutive boring sequels. We've played the original Kirby Air Ride for countless hours, 100% completed that checklist multiple times, and learned so many unspoken rules and mechanics about the one and only true way to burn an afternoon, City Trial. We dreamt of a sequel that would never come, so when it was finally announced, oh what? Safe to say it was our system seller. So, why is it my worst game of the year? You could say Kirby Air Riders simply didn't meet my expectations and I'm overreacting to mere disappointment, but I disagree. Almost every impression I see for Air Riders is that people have trouble understanding what exactly is happening, and it ends up dependent on the individual if that's an obscuring annoyance or colorful and stimulating. I fall into the former category. There isn't a moment of gameplay that isn't a static level assault of visual effects with characters whipping between the edges of the screen. I can't help but feel as though any success of mine while playing Air Riders ends up the result of an accident rather than a proper execution of skill, and I'm not convinced that's not true of every other player. The sheer speed and pace of everything makes it impossible to chase down a goal, but incidentally drive by bonking someone is easy as pie. I'd play on slow mode, but it doesn't just reduce the speed of the players like I was hoping. It literally slows down time, causing everything to feel like it's floating underwater and turning a 5-minute game to a little over 8 minutes. To be fair, that's how slow mode worked in the original game as well, but I didn't like it there either. If I may give an example, here's one reason why I prefer the original game's scope and pace to the sequels. In the GameCube game, when you collected 2 power-ups at the same time, you would hear cheers, because it's uncommon to find 2 power-ups at the same time. Blue boxes would often only have 1 power, or even have negatives inside. You have to play slowly and considerately. You can't just floor it through the whole match. In Air Riders though, if you pick up less than 4 power-ups at any one time, you're not playing fast enough. After the first minute, you need to have a near constant fountain of power-ups pouring into your character if you want to be up to par. If you want me to get really nitpicky, I cannot believe my machine suffers the same pratfalls as the stage builder portal in Smash Ultimate. Extremely few ways to browse for new stuff, and the stuff you can see is just synonyms for popularity, so what's there will just stay there for months and months. I tell you without exaggeration, every time I boot up Smash Ultimate Stage Builder and look around, I see the exact same stuff by the same people, even after years. I can tell the same will be true in my machine, as launch week uploads are still there a month later. And why does the checklist unlock duplicate items? Characters have costumes, I get it, and unlocking the character twice gives you a costume, I get that. But what about the times after that? We've been going through the checklist, haven't quite finished it, and we've now unlocked every costume, but we're still finding duplicate characters in the checklist. So what are we doing this for anymore? Lastly, why is City Trial still only 1 map? Why does this form of gameplay in both Kirby Air Ride games and Smash Run always have to be on 1 map? You might notice all of my thoughts here only consider City Trial, and that's because I only really like that part of this little series. Regarding the new stuff, Road Trip is Spirits Mode again, and gummies sure are gummies. Isn't it funny how the meat of the game is at the bottom of the main menu? Kirby Air Riders is my worst game of the year because every time I have the opportunity to play it, I end up just wishing I were playing the first game instead. To hope for a sequel for over 20 years that just makes me rather play the original game again is painful, and I'm sure a lot of fans of Nintendo's individual franchises know how that feels. It's not glitchy or broken, and there's something to be praised of Sora Team's practices for releasing a full product with no planned DLC. Certainly, I celebrate that, but I just don't enjoy the product in the first place.
The worst game of the year is always an easy one to give out, don't you think? The game that aggravated you the most, caused the most friction between you and your hobby? That sounds right. So this year, my worst game of the year award will go to Mario Kart World. To those about to yell, "But the updates fixed it!" I don't care. I simply do not care. And that is absolutely the reason the game deserves this award. I have no desire to touch it again, to recommend it to friends, to suggest it for gatherings, for even scrolling by it on the Switch 2's menu. I do not care. The Switch 2 has been marred by a high price tag for the system as well as the games for said system. $70 is high for a grand portion of the population no matter who you are. Well, how do you feel about $80? Because that is MSRP for Mario Kart World, another of Nintendo's spin-off series that has gone open world for absolutely no reason. We covered this in a review which you can watch here, link in the description, but Mario Kart World is so unwaveringly bland the whole game may as well be 50% gray. It removes glider and underwater travel, adds in roads between courses that are 4 times longer than the actual courses. It's such a bland, boring, unfun experience. I don't care how good it gets post-release. I have absolutely checked out of Mario Kart World completely. In fact, the only reason I remember it exists is that it is stapled to my system via digital download because Nintendo only sold 1 unbundled system for every 43 Mario Kart World bundles. Of course, we're going to see that number shift as they discontinue the bundles, for good reason too. It spares anyone having to play this inexplicably mundane Mario game. If you want a good time, get Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You get every bit of DLC, characters, courses, modes, all of it for the same price as Mario Kart World. All on cartridge if you can find it. May this be the last time I have to mention Mario Kart World, because it's certainly the last time I'm gonna play it.
I always think it's important to remind everyone that the title of okayest game isn't necessarily a bad one. In previous years, I've handed it to Super Princess Peach, Trinity Trigger, and Cadence of Hyrule. The last two I look back on quite fondly, and I've replayed Cadence a few times. So please understand that, as a huge fan of this series, me thinking this new game is okay doesn't detract me from recommending it. My okayest game is Shantae Advance Risky Revolution. Like I mentioned before, Shantae Advance has some ideas and concepts that don't feel fully explored, and that could simply be a result of it needing to be compacted into a GBA cartridge. It's also a pretty diminutive game, only taking me about 8 hours to 100% complete, but it's still a Shantae game. It's very well animated, it's got funny writing and low-stakes little twists, and the transformations open platforming challenges and shortcuts very nicely. I'm proud to own the Golden Collector's cartridge and have the soundtrack in my car. Similar to Kirby Air Riders, the anticipation for Shantae Advance had been built up for around 20 years. The game first debuted in Nintendo Power, and the demo was played on a live stream by Matt Bozon in 2013 or so. The mystery of the theoretical full game's contents has finally been answered, and it's just like any other game. It's got some good, got some flaws, such as typos and game-breaking collision, and now the world can move on.
I gave my worst game award to a high-profile Nintendo property that stupidly went open world for the Switch 2 era, so it's only fitting my okayest Game of the Year award goes to a high-profile Nintendo property that stupidly went open world, right? Well, the Switch 2 seems to only have okay games on the system thus far. Not a single, holy crap, I need to buy this installment. And as a Nintendo shill, I've tried all the biggest ones I care about, but I had to pick, and the okayest Game of the Year goes to Donkey Kong Bonanza. The reason I bought a Switch 2. I remember being in our local GameStop, completely detached from reality while I played the 10-minute demo. Andy wandered around the store, trying to find things to look at. The workers were bored and on their phones, and I was absolutely entranced by the majesty of leveling everything with only your fists. Using Kong Bonanza for the first time and throwing rocks into space, I was enthralled at how fluid and fun everything felt. Little did I know, that tiny demo was the entire game right there. How do you take a strong monkey with fists that can flatten everything and make it so boring you only remember the game for 2 single things? Well, by making Bonanza, of course! You trickle in a little bit of useless story surrounding a teenage version of a semi-recognizable character who has a problem they can immediately fix if they just get over themselves. You add a zip of original characters that are one note, with boss fights that repeat at least twice that weren't endearing the first time. You cook until you see Spot's profound game length that could have definitely been cut in half. Then, finally, you squirt a heap of nostalgia-fueled fan service on the whole thing. At the end, you have this mess! Bonanza is so boring and bloated it foreshadows the big reveal to try and keep longtime fans invested. Cranky Kong is a character you have to visit in each level to get a banana, and every time he gives you a speech which acts as foreshadowing for the final boss. His descriptions are obviously not about Void Kong. You can't skip them, and it really steals the moment the rest of the game should have had to shine. Nintendo took Punch Everything and made it boring, filled it to the brim with open world nonsense, and created another series installment that changes the face of another character. Wow, I wish this game were shorter. Also, DK's redesign is stupid.
Before we reveal our best games of the year, we're going to present our 4 extra awards. Our first extra award is the Buddy Award, gathered and given to the best co-op experience we played this year. This is extra poignant because we were executing a full year of cooperative RPGs on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Gateway2Drillbit, so we have a lot of candidates this year. But which one was the best, with the most options, and had the most asymmetric way to show 2 players can act differently while playing together? Why, it's none other than Elden Ring Night Rain.
It's hard to find points to make after doing a full review of this game not too long ago, which you can watch here, link in the description. Beyond the fact this game offers the most distinction between players that are actively working toward a shared goal. While you're all running around Limveld like scared cats trying to collect all the runes and area-specific abilities you can, there are right stones you can equip prior to your adventure that allow each player to stand out in the group.
Even though they aren't valuable or offer big improvement or asymmetric advantages, they are enough to allow each player to have their own abilities and powers prior to Limveld exploration. There are even class-specific rightstone abilities that you can start with and equip. Surfing through the ocean of nothing most of these are to actually get to those good rightstones is a very trifling experience, but when you have the 3-way handshake between them, it does offer some measure of advantage for the bigger 3-way handshake your team needs to be successful. While we don't engage with this game anymore, we do see that this is a unique experience for the co-op partners in the same room that stands above other RPGs. They took a game in the Souls-like genre and made it multiplayer and cooperative, and that is no easy feat. It should be celebrated for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, all of that.
Following our Buddy Award, we have our Curly Fries Award.
We give this one of the best remakester port we played this year. Our co-op RPG Crusade definitely helped us solidify our choice, and we're happy to present this award to
Tales of Xillia and Tales of Grace's F Remastered. For one reason and one reason alone. The Grade Shop!
For those unfamiliar and who only played Symphonia or Vesperia Remastered, the Grade Shop is a way to improve future playthroughs of some Tales of games, allowing things like 5x XP, harder modes, carrying more items, easier battles, double gald, and more. Grace's F and Xillia Remastered offered these shops at the very beginning of your adventure, which vastly improved future playthroughs of these already good games.
Grace's F is far and away the better game, but Xillia's mundane experience is certainly better with the Grade Shop in tow.
I think it's pretty funny the only reason these games got this award is the Grade Shop.
Hey! They're also faithful remasters. Well, Grace's is. Xillia's a bit rough.
It is with great confusion that we present our third extra award, the SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide Award.
Much like the RoboCop Rogue City and the Visions of Mana awards from previous years, we wanted to give a special moment to one particular game this year. Hilariously, RoboCop got a standalone expansion this year, but it's not getting a RoboCop award. Anyway, we're awarding the SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide Award to Spa-Squa-Ta-Da-Ta, because just like I said before, there is no reason to not pick it up. In this house, we're big fans of the early seasons of SpongeBob. We find any reason to quote episodes and any way to reference moments. Titans of the Tide rewards that loyalty with the outfits you can unlock for SpongeBob and Patrick, the fact that the portals are flies, and Sandy's hibernation. If you're into the later seasons, I'm guessing you'd recognize this Spot character, because I certainly don't. But even if you're not into the show, Titans of the Tide is still an enamoring standalone experience. The animations and cutscenes are top-notch for slapstick comedic antics, the writing is mildly witty with memorable delivery, and above all, the platforming is the best of the series. Each level takes your abilities, new and old, and scrambles them up in every which permutation to keep your mind and your fingers active. The game has a straightforward, linear progress to its story with an actual end goal in mind the whole way through, and there are plenty of areas where you can screw around and just explore. It's a brilliant game that feels so good to play and doesn't get bogged down by any extra guff. It's exactly as long as it should be, even having extra challenges for those hungry for more, which I very much was.
It is now time to present our final extra award before our best, the one we never have to argue about who to give it to, where it's going, or why. Worst Game Mechanic. This one gets given to the absolute worst game mechanic we've experienced this year. Hooray! We've been giving this one out for quite a while, and the recipient's closet's gotta be overloaded with these, right? Well, this year we're presenting it to
Generative AI, and the developers who hide the fact they used it. That's right, AI is here to make you question if that piece of art is a beautiful rendition of several hours of a team's hard work and integrity, or the result of one person typing trash into garbage to generate waste. It kills the environment, puts people out of a job, can co-opt art styles, and generates something actual human labor took decades to improve. It undoubtedly deserves this award. James is probably perturbed he didn't get to say his iconic "loot boxes are faff" line, so we'll turn it to him for a second.
No, honestly, well done. Heartily delivered and well deserved. We just need something that has the same ring as loot boxes or shit.
I got it. Generative AI will destroy the environment and sever your perception of reality.
Seems a bit wordy.
We'll work on it for next year's award, unfortunately.
I don't have incredible or discerning taste sometimes, but this year I played some seriously good games among the swamp of whatever. Bollock's Pit, Tales of Grace's F Remastered, Spiritfall again, even the Gal Guardian sequel was a damn good game. But one of them stood out among the rest as both a surprise and a game that will become the benchmark by which I judge all other games in the genre. Atelier Yumiya, Alchemist of Memories and the Envision Land. I have never played an Atelier game. I barely heard of this series before 2025, but a trailer happened to appear as a YouTube ad before another trailer I was going to watch, and I was immediately taken by the world, which looked vast, the combat, which looked flashy and impactful, and the motorcycle. I'm not sure why the motorcycle was so fascinating to me, but I think it was the presentation of the trailer itself. We were in the middle of playing Tales of Grace's F Remastered, so I think I felt the anime look of Yumiya would fit nicely into the anime game hunger I was feeling. The characters were distinct and fun. The motorcycle looked sick. The weapons looked unique. I was absolutely in for whatever this game had. Then, I played it. Andy.
What? Why me? Address them. I'm busy not listening to you.
In a year positively glutted with open world games, this is the one single one I recommend you all play, on the Switch if you can, only because that version is mobile so you can play it while shitting. There is no shortage of things to do, it is packed to the brim with enemies, discovery points, things to shoot, materials to gather, side quests, and characters to meet. Combat is seriously fluid and only gets more flashy and interesting as you unlock characters and abilities. Also, every character is their own agent. There's simply no reason to worry about any of them like you would in most RPGs. If you outfit them with weapons and healing accessories, they'll go off on their own in battle and put up decent fights. You can take safety in knowing party members can act independently and will need no intervention from you if they make a mistake in battle. Beyond that, there's the crafting system, which is admittedly very complicated, but the Atelier games are kind of known for the synthesizing, so it makes sense this would be very layered. Eventually, you earn the ability to let the game make the best decisions for materials used, so just let it do that. It's how I got so strong I killed the final boss in about 13 seconds. Then, there's the story. You're not teaming up to kill God or fight some fan service boss at the center of a planet. You're on a journey to find out what happened in a mysterious land where memories become power. The point at which the story took hold for me was when the main character, Yumiya, forgot her mother. This doesn't seem significant, but the land they're in requires the use of memories to allow Yumiya to do things. Memories of the grass, the enemies, the land itself. But in a moment of desperation, she used her own memories and forgot something significant to her. That took hold. The story shifted. Then, as you begin to discover the ancient civilization buried within and how they were attempting to preserve their memories for future generations, everything comes to a head when you enter the final dungeon and the idea that memories don't reflect reality really takes form. To put it simply, a long-revived emperor is attempting to use memories of everything to rebuild his kingdom. What you come to discover is the kingdom is half-baked, there are broken bits of geometry and empty buildings. It's not the same as he remembers because it has been far too long. You are literally fighting enemies in an area half-remembered by somebody else. It's like traveling through a dream. I thought that was incredible.
Dang, James. This feels like one you should have made a separate review for.
I'm not done.
How?
Atelier Yumiya is the benchmark by which I will now judge all other open world games. Ironic I was able to play it before Mario Kart World, Bonanza, and eventually Metroid Prime 4. Yumiya's world is so full and eventful, there are few moments of rest between deciding which question mark you want to walk to next, or the fight you want to attempt, or even the materials you want to synthesize. This game is immensely dense, but it doesn't feel as if any part of it is boring or bloated. There's the right amount of space between what's that moments, and I feel confident saying it's one of the best open world games on the market today. Also, if you get it on the Switch, don't bother using the motorcycle, it doesn't work that well.
James, I just noticed. Your best, worst, and okayest are all open world games.
Ooh.
It's time for my game of the year. And in giving this year's award, I'd like to right a wrong, if you'll allow me. In our previous review Mo in the summer, link in the description, I mentioned some aspects of this game weren't blowing me away. But after finishing up my playthrough and going for absolute 100% completion, it's safe to say any and all negatives I had before were wiped clean. My best game of the year is Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. Surprise, surprise, Andy likes a game that looks like Zelda. A top-down action game with pixel graphics and a pumping primary attack. Yeah, well maybe I love it because it's great! Pipistrello is an absolutely incredibly well-designed game. It's one of the best top-down games I've ever played, and if you think it fits in the Metroidvania genre the same way Unsighted does, then it's one of the best Metroidvanias I've ever played. Every power in the game, from platforming to puzzle solving to combat, focuses on the yo-yo, and I so appreciate that dedication. Pipit runs around a city gripped at the throat by the corporate owners of a rigged sports arena, a fast food chain serving addictive grease, and a money pit construction site. At one point in the game, your entire goal is to get in front of a line at a convention. It's so delightfully silly and yet so fittingly bleak for a game lampooning such displays of concentrated greed. There's also the badge system. Where it might seem pretty normal at first, one special difference is the fact you can upgrade badges to improve their performance. But beyond that are these extra super special badges. These ones flat out tell the player, these will break the game. That's awesome. To read that sentence for the first time made me question if I was dreaming. And the game isn't kidding either. Using these badges will fundamentally change your gameplay. More games should have apparent debug modes integrated directly into the player's options. Something I mentioned back in the summer I didn't enjoy was the upgrade system. To gain a permanent increase in power, you must enter a contract, the cost of which can only be paid off with new money. The weight of that debt will cause Pipit to be literally weaker, losing health or some other stat. From a gameplay perspective, it is annoying, because it can feel like you're just treading water. But thematically, it's absolutely brilliant, because that's what debt feels like. Trying to get ahead just saddles you with debt, and even when you pay it off, your reward is just more opportunities for debt. But above all of that, yes, all of that, what I appreciate most about Pipistrello is its accessibility menu. You can change and adjust all kinds of things in here. It feels just shy of a New Game Plus menu where you can unlock all the stupid stuff for your second playthrough. Does that make Pipistrello an honorary Tales of remaster? In this menu, you can turn off fall damage, adjust your max health and badge points, and change how much money is dropped in all different scenarios. If it ever feels a bit unbalanced, you can fiddle with the numbers whenever you want. For my playthrough, I turned off fall damage because it's a pet peeve of mine, and then after the final boss, boosted my BP so I could run around at max power. It was incredible, and I feel such joy that I was allowed to do that without using mods or hacks or whatever. Pipistrello is $20. You can get it physically on the Switch. Play it! It's my best game of the year, and I think it could easily be yours too.
Oh my goodness. We've done it. Every game in the second half of the year and our Games of the Year show. We hope you enjoyed our elongated show, the special guests, and all the surprises we hid in here. What were some of your best, worst, and okayest games of 2025? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to check out all the links in the description. There's a lot of them. Thank you all so much for watching, and we look forward to another year of games, reviewing them, and more Revimo in 2026.